All right, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon. Good evening. We are live. It's taken a second to get YouTube on here, but we haven't talked about much. So, shout out to everybody that's joining us here on a Sunday evening. Just figured I would check in to say hello, see how everybody is doing. I've had some people reach out to me personally, say, "Hey, man, I just want to have a quick chat. Nothing in particular. No questions need to be asked, but let's just hang out and do a good old Matty Moolah live stream." And I said, okay. And it's been a couple days since then, and I haven't held up my end of the bargain. So here we are. And this could be one of those things where it dies and nobody wants to be here, and we're here for 30 minutes, or it could be something where it goes a couple hours. So you never know. But as always, I appreciate you guys hanging in there and checking out what is going on in the markets and hanging out with me just overall. Lots of fun to be had. There's lots to talk about. New camera setup, probably since the last live stream, but also this company just continues to go on a complete tear and run. And I am down on my covered calls pretty significantly. So we will hopefully have a retracement at some point. The funny thing is, we had a great conversation on Palantir Weekly last week, and somebody said this is going to be really funny, and this channel is going to generate a lot of hate when the stock goes back down to $20. And I thought it was pretty funny, so I posted about that on X, and let's just see. Let's pull it up and see. It's doing rather well on X, which I think is pretty funny. So we will see. Yes, Palantir has gone to 20, and this channel will get a lot of hate. And I said, basically, I hope it does. I will double my position at that $50 billion market cap, because there's about 2.5 billion shares outstanding. 2.5 times 20 is 50 billion. And I will ride those shares 20 to 30x to a trillion to $1.5 trillion market cap. And that's generating some love. So hopefully you guys are on board with me there. And yeah, I'll probably leave the Palantir conversation there for now. But let's just hang out and see who is live with us in the chat. We have about 46 live here on YouTube. The rest are coming from X. Nobody currently on Twitch, but if you guys do me a favor, if you guys are actually interested, because some of you folks actually do watch Twitch. I've had quite a few of you actually reach out to me and say, no, we actually do like the Twitch side of things. I'm not encouraging you to watch only on Twitch, but at some point I would like to get to a place where I'm affiliated. So if you guys do like to watch on Twitch, please watch on Twitch, because it helps the streaming numbers on there. But I'm not asking you folks that are only YouTube people to watch on Twitch, because obviously choose whatever platform you like most. But anyway, let's go through the list. We got Cameron Benson, long time subscriber. Much appreciated for you showing up, my brother. MattMoney, we got Ray, long-time subscriber as well. Youth and Financials, what do you guys updated thoughts on HIMS? I screwed up. We could talk a little bit about that. Since 27, what is going on, my brother? I'm doing great, having a great week and great end of the year. Really just thinking about, maybe we can get into it, what the hell the next steps are, man. Accomplished a lot of things this year, and got to start thinking about 2025. So started to see some people come out with some 2025 videos, inspiring me to think as well. Hit some nice milestones with respect to net worth and portfolio size. What's the next goal? I have a very strong feeling that this camera is not straight, but we'll have to live with it. Zocold, my guy. Hope things are going well on the Western Coast. Miss Lisa, how are you? Hopefully you are having a great evening on Sunday. Hopefully you guys had some good relaxation with the family. Got Mopbox. We got Midwest, one of the premier chit-chatters and commentators on the channel. Much appreciated. He's everywhere. We're just opening a Spindrift. We're not drinking alcohol. Wouldn't be a bad thing if we were, though. We got Mateo De Niro on the line. Dave, what's going on, my man? Was about to listen to some music, but you'll listen to Matt instead. Well, hopefully you don't be like, what do I want to say here? Hopefully you're not like, I wish I just listened to the music after this. Hopefully this is soothing. Hopefully you get some relaxation out of it. Hopefully you get some questions answered, because that's always the objective when I come on. Swaggy Will, mucho dinero, my guy. FY, what is going on, man? Long time no see. I know. I don't know if you're talking about Midwest or you're talking about me, but I've been slacking for certainty. Slacking for certainty. Tesla near 400 bones. Yeah, let's give a quick look to our friends. Oh, we have seen a strong drop off in Palantir over the last 5 minutes. Well, not strong, really, but it was hanging out in the 79, and then I guess there was a big candle going down over the past 5 minutes. Wonder if it gets bought up. I was going to look up Tesla. Let's check it out, because that one is up significantly over the past week and month. And it is just below $400. So overnight trading, it's up 2%, just below $400. We will see. Let's have with that. I have some cash secured puts on that bad boy. So yes, it'll be excited. Jimball. Stocks only go up. I agree. No point do stocks go down. Hope it goes back to $20. I do. 79 is crazy though, right? Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Are you talking about yourself, Mr. Brett? Talking about yourself, guy? You're the man. Keep it up. Much appreciated for you stopping by. Let's see. Who else we got on here? Trader Josephat. You're the man. Always a good follower as well. You have to teach your daughter to roll cover calls. Yeah, I'm going to have to teach my grandkids how to roll cover calls, because that's how long, once they inherit it, they'll inherit it from their parents, and they'll still be rolling the covered calls. And once my children die, which I don't have any at the moment, just goes to show you how long they're going to be rolling these fucking covered calls. But the grandkids will also have to be learning as well. David got you beat with $30 covered calls. Palantir $100 incoming. Let's see. Before I answer this question, yeah, for anybody that's curious about what I'm doing, I'm waiting until January, February timeframe before I really make an honest move. I'm contemplating that. I think once the new year kind of starts, and the NASDAQ stuff goes through at the beginning of I guess the latter half of this month, early next, my anticipation is they really going to have to get to a place where valuation starts to matter to an extent, not obviously meaning, but like entirely what the price is. But we're on Mars at the moment, and I don't necessarily know if it's appropriate. So my hope is we have a pullback. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna keep cautious. I know a lot of people are already moving to January 26 and 27. Trust me, it's a lot easier to move out in time, much harder to move back in time. So once you write out in 2026, 2027, if the stock price actually does come down, it's going to be very difficult for you to roll backwards. So to me, it's almost better to wait. And once that money kind of goes out the door, it's hard, if you say leave 10 grand on the table and you roll for a debit rather than a credit, much harder to kind of swing the other direction. So I'm just going to, and that might be famous last words. I've been there before. We will see. Shout out to the 96 of you guys in YouTube. Much appreciated. Matt, when you say you'll buy the dip, do you hold spare capital or just DCA from other income? I invest a shit ton of money from my 9 to 5. But also I'm always consolidating positions that I don't care about. And so like LSG, I'm not saying I don't care about it, but the easy money's been made there. And while I do think it could run back up to $100, we're at the $70-$80 mark, and that's a 300% return. So to me, I'm not saying that it can't go back to 100 or anything of the like, but I think it's fair value here. And do I really see it doubling, tripling, quadrupling over the next 5 years? Probably not. And so it comes to the same thing with what I had with Pepsi like a year or two ago. It's like, I love Pepsi. And do I think eventually Pepsi will become a $200, $250 stock? I do, but I think it was trading at like 180, 190 bucks. And I was just like, you know what? I was like, well, I love this. I could hold on to it. Do I really think it's going to double or triple from here in the next 5 to 10 years? The answer was no. And you could see probably where that capital went. I mean, I'm not 100% certain what I sold during that time with Pepsi, but I anticipate a lot of it was SPY, the S&P 500, and a lot of it was Rocket Lab at that time. So you could see that it was capital well spent, because I think Pepsi's down in the 150-ish range. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy back in. In fact, it's something I'm always kind of keeping an eye on, because it has such a strong moat. They have the snacks business, and it's going to be around for a long time. So if it's ever out of favor, I could definitely see a swing trade on it, because it's one of those companies that always trades at a 22, 23x premium in terms of price to earnings. And so I would always want to kind of get back involved. So I can't follow as I'm not an English native speaker. It would be better if this is auto translate. I don't know how to do that, my man. That's something you're gonna have to take up with Elon. But respectfully, I hope you get some sort of value out of following, and appreciate you being a continued follower on X. My man, Midwest, you're the man, the myth, and the legend. It's crisp camera, yeah, but it's crooked. And I got a fortune cookie in the lower right. If you see that, that's been there, and that's a trash bag. And I got a desk lamp that my mom sent me, so I got to put that up as well. Who knows if I'll ever hang the Banksy that's behind me. We will see. We will see. I'm trying to decide if I've been debating whether or not I want to put that in my bedroom, the hallway. Maybe I'll put it in the guest room, because the guest room doesn't have anything other than a desk and the queen bed. So we will see. MattMoney, the hat matches our eyes. There you go. You heard it here first. Was able to watch for a while, but on employment insurance for winter. So get to live the dream and trade 24/7. Watch you guys again. You're the man, dude. You're the man. You are the man. I have some Celsius over here, but I try not to drink it at night, because I was like starting to like, this stuff has so much caffeine in it. I was starting to like not sleep, and I'd be up till like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I would like drink a couple a day, and I'd start to get headaches because I had too much caffeine. But anyway, it is what it is. It's pretty for sure. Actually, shout out to my buddy. He works at Colonial Electrical Supply back in Pennsylvania. So if you guys ever need any lights, he is your guy. He is your guy. Here's getting remembered. Legends like Matt never die. That's a lie. Legends like you, Brett. Legends like you. IRDM. I don't think Iridium Communications is a bad play. This is one of the things, like, people are trying to find something that's going to 5x or something like that. The 5-year chart down, even 1 year, it's down 24%. 5-year chart's 29%. It's a mature business. Is there actually going to be anything that comes out of this company that continues to innovate? I mean, that's the question I would have. All time since 2009, it's up 201%. I'm not saying it's a bad opportunity. Rocket Lab literally has Mars to get to in terms of the stock price as well as the company. So to me, it's a $12 billion market cap company at the moment. I could easily see it getting to 25 to 50 billion in the next couple of years. And then honestly, it could even get to 200 billion in the next 15. So to me, if you think about that, that's 200. I'm not good with math, guys. You got to give me some leeway. It's 188 billion to cover. We're at 12 right now. So that's a 15x from where we're at today. I think that's more likely than something like IRDM, snapping out of something that it's already been working on for quite some time. Colonial to zero. I hope not, man. My buddy needs this job. My buddy needs this sales job. SMCI. Yeah, shout out to the people that were able to get ballsy and while they were looking for the new auditors, took a leap of faith and were well rewarded. So let's just take a quick look at this one over the past 3 months. It's obviously been very volatile. They did not report because of the auditing that they were unable to get for the third quarter. Stock obviously tanked from $49 all the way down to the teens and is now rocketed back up. So obviously it's still down massively from where it was earlier this year. But nonetheless, it's back up to a $30 billion company and up 11%, 12% overnight. So that's good. Can't complain with that. Never finished building that Tesla position. Well, I also have sold some puts on Tesla. I forget what I sold, but I think I took a long view, and I think I want to say I sold. It'll snap back out at me if what was it? It might have been the July 300s. No, it was the June because the Julys are new. So it's probably the June 300s. I think it might have been $2,500 because I sold it. Let's just check. I sold it a couple. I'm not good with this view. Options watch list. You can kind of see some of these. So you got the Tesla. I'm actually curious about this 400 call when I actually put it up here. When did I put it up here on the watch list? Oh, man, I knew I should have bought them. Damn. You dumb bastard. Anyway, I thought about buying some 400s, and I wish I did. So 300 puts. I bought these within the last week, and they're trading at 27 or 2,500, maybe $2,800. And slowly, they've lost 18%. So that's good news for me because I sold them. I didn't buy them. So good for me. Good for Mateus Mula. I still might initiate a position in Tesla. We will see. RDW. I don't necessarily hate RDW. I think it's actually a pretty decent company for folks to check out. To me, though, the thing that, Redwire, let's just read the description really quick for folks. Supplies and manufactures space equipment and offers critical space solutions and reliability components for the next generation space economy with IP for solar power generation and 3D printing and manufacturing, assisting customers in solving challenges of future space missions. If I like it, why don't I just Rocket Lab? I guess is my question. I mean, shout out to the folks that got into it. The thing that I like is a company like this can, in my opinion, if they're still hemorrhaging cash, if I remember correctly. Let me see. RDW Investor Relations. Let's see where they're at. Not saying that Rocket Lab's not hemorrhaging cash. It's just, how are these guys comparatively? And I guess my question would be SEC filings. They have investor presentations, company info, presentations, Redwire 101. Let's see. I mean, these guys do a good job. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like, to me, would I rather own the ability to launch to space? And the answer is I probably would. So let's share this tab. So they're building the backlog. So they do have 7 billion, which is much larger than what Rocket Lab has. But if you look at, where was it? They have 300 million and trailing 12-month revenue, but it's not growing. You see what I'm saying? Like, the gap revenues are kind of spotty. So it's like, okay, there you go. Here's your adjusted EBITDA. So they're EBITDA positive, but it's not like growing routinely up and to the right. And then here's their free cash. So my hope is that they continue to do well. It's just, are they doing anything that doesn't have a moat, right? And the thing that is like, I know a lot of other companies that are doing rather well in this space. Rocket Lab also creates satellites. Black Sky creates satellites. Planet Lab creates satellites. Maybe these guys have a specific satellite that they create better than others, but to me, you know, if I could have and knock out two birds with one stone, I'm not saying that Redwire is not a great company, but I would just prefer to own more Rocket Lab, and I wouldn't want to dilute the opportunity. And also, as far as I recognize, Rocket Lab's going to come out with another constellation that they're going to own, and with that, when that gets released, I have a strong feeling it's going to be absolutely huge. I'm going super slow. I apologize. I just noticed Nunzio Luza. What is going on? Is it too late to get into Rocket Lab? Do you know anything about SoundHound? I don't know anything about SoundHound. Congrats to everybody on their success with that. It's just not in my wheelhouse. So I apologize. I don't know anything about SoundHound. Not to say it's a great company. Unfortunately, I don't know. Is it too late to get into Rocket Lab? This is something that I always answer to people. It really depends on what your time horizon is, what your risk tolerance is. Do I think that it's slightly overvalued here? I do, but that is with the caveat of not having a neutron launch. So if we were to have a neutron launch under our belt and we were off to the races, then I would say this is actually undervalued at a $12.5 billion market cap, meaning Rocket Lab. And so I guess it just goes to tell you, like, if you were to look at it from a conventional financial perspective of, is Rocket Lab overvalued here? Should I be buying? I would say if you're looking at it on traditional financial metrics, it's not going to make sense for you to buy. If you're looking at it for what you think the moat is, and I explained this the other night, I don't remember if it was on Rocket Lab Weekly or what have you, and shout out to Scotty and Vince. We had a good conversation yesterday on Rocket Lab Weekly. But the thought process isn't necessarily, in my opinion, of the valuation being too much. To me, it's almost like, what is the cost of entry to get to where Rocket Lab is? And what I mean by that is you have a small launch vehicle that's going to launch 15 to 16 times this year. You have a satellite components business. You have an operations business that allows you to get things. You have a launch business that is going to incorporate hypersonic missiles. Not missiles, hypersonic rockets that can help, with Department of Defense reasonings, help get communications in remote locations. I mean, hypersonics literally can just get you from point A to point B at a much faster pace, and it doesn't necessarily have to go out into outer space. So to me, there's a huge benefit associated with that. Short last mile delivery, not necessarily for, like, what am I trying to say? Not like Amazon or something like that, but say you have an operation going on for the Army or Marines or something like that, and they lost communication or they need, last mile delivery of something. You could literally use that to deliver something in a short amount of time, get it to a place within a couple of hours, several thousand miles away, and boom, you just potentially saved a whole troop's worth of lives or something like that, because it's not going to be able to, that haste rocket isn't necessarily going to be able to get it directly into that last mile, although they have very good accuracy at Rocket Lab. But if you think about it, it'll get the ability to launch that rocket over to the location or approximate location you need it to be. And then whatever is in the second stage can hopefully have a little bit more granularity as to where it needs to go, right? Does it need to go east, west, south, north by a mile here or there, depending on what's going on. So that's what I kind of mean by remote location communications or something of the like, right? Have some sort of glider show up where it could provide supplies, it could provide communications, it could provide a whole bunch of different things. But in terms of where I think that the company is going, I mean, I don't want to use SpaceX. I always kind of use this analogy, but if you think about where SpaceX is today, potentially $350 billion valuation. I mean, I'm not saying that's where Rocket Lab should be today, right? But I'm saying in 10 to 15 years, if you look at where the Falcon 9 was back in 2010, we're 15 years removed from that now. SpaceX back then was really only valued around 10 or so, less than $10 billion. I think it might have been like 4 or 5 billion. And so people are probably recognizing, oh shit, these guys are, following in the footsteps of SpaceX. And not only that, but the small launch vehicle got to cadence of 50 launches faster than the Falcon 9 did. And the hope is that Neutron does the same, right? And granted, you have the reusability aspect of Neutron and everything like that. That was kind of pioneered by Rocket Lab, but at the same time, pioneered by SpaceX, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily put a hindrance on Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab can now use that. They know it's feasible. They don't necessarily have to do as much trial and error. There's likely that some of that science and everything like that is more publicly available because Amazon's used it on the New Shepard rocket. You've had now SpaceX used it multiple times on different platforms as well. So they recognize that it's feasible. So hopefully they'll be able to do something comparable with the Neutron rocket and make it reusable from day one. Keep in mind the Falcon 9 rocket was not reusable from day one. So if the Neutron within 2 to 3 launches is able to kind of get to a place where it's reusable, then that immediately kind of helps in terms of being able to increase cadence very quickly for the Neutron rocket that the Falcon 9 rocket didn't have. So it could accelerate very quickly. And not only that, but there's the constellation business that we talked about with Redwire. So it goes back to, on a conventional basis, yes, right now Rocket Lab is expensive. But you have to think that in 2027, 2028 timeframe, this thing's easily going to be creating over $1 billion worth of revenue. And a lot of that's going to start generating cash flow. So to think, I mean, if you're getting, let's say 24, 25 Neutron rockets off a year, you're going to be getting at least 55 million a piece. That's going to be 1.3 to 1.5 billion. And if you are getting the 50% gross margins of that, let's just take, for example, then you're getting $700 million, maybe $750 million in EBITDA from that. Well, let's just toss a 15x multiple. That alone in just 2027, not 2027, 2028, but at 24 annual launch cadence, which I anticipate is going to be pretty quick, probably within the first 5 to 6 years. That launch cadence, in my opinion, is worth $10 billion today, not including the constellation business, not including the satellites business, not including HASTE, not including Electron. So, with where you're at, I think it's within a few years, it's going to make a lot of sense why the price is what it is today. But also keep in mind, and this is what I stated on Rocket Lab Weekly yesterday, is that we've seen companies get valued at $5 billion, $6 billion, and they have failed to be able to put a rocket up into space. And so these guys have been able to do it twice now with several $100 billion and have immense capital efficiency. So these guys have been fortunate to now not only do it once, but do it twice, hopefully, once the Neutron rocket kind of gets off into space. The thing that I'm now recognizing is for people that are sitting out there on the sidelines, sorry, this is like a small starter position. I'm just putting like, $100, $200 a month or something. I just started it not too long recently. You can see the cost basis is pretty shitty. It's like $22 a share. But I was just like, you know what? Let me just toss, $100, $150 in. So anyway, going back to what I was referring to, I think now that you kind of have this moat of what is a small launch, medium launch vehicle need in order to get off the ground, and I think it's $10 to $15 billion. Like if you don't have $10 to $15 billion in capital, you're not going to be able to build a sustainable business that can survive. And so I don't think that $12 billion is a reflection on the financial metrics of the company. I think it's the minimum capital required to get a business like Rocket Lab up and going. So that's more so the reason why I think the valuation what it is today. And it'll expand with time for sure. Let's see, APLD. I don't know what APLD is. Love selling covered calls. You gotta do it sometimes, my guy. You gotta do it. Rocket Lab by 100 by end of year. We will see. Brent, what's going on, my guy? Hope all is good. NDMO. I don't know. You always say this every time, but I've never asked you. I need to ask you specifically what it is. Rocket Lab cover calls 30% at 25 strike, 70%. Oh, okay. That's not bad. Yeah, and I was looking at I talk about how be cautious with covered calls, and here I am writing covered calls on Rocket Lab. But I think I have my Rocket Lab ones for $40 this week. Maybe they expired. I need to check. Or maybe I wrote them for the 13th, but I'm going to roll them to the 20th and take some of that money and probably buy more shares. Because even still, like with the position size, it's like you have to keep in mind, we're talking about a lot of contracts and we're talking pretty far out of the money for 2 weeks out. So even still, you have a decent position, you write some far out of the money contracts, you're still going to make a couple $1,000. Sold your SLG for Amazon. I don't think that's a bad move. Mid-City's buying Tesla after experiencing full self-driving for the first time. He already bought a Tesla, so there you go. You got a list going so far. Not sure. Can you show Lucid overnight? There's after hours. It doesn't look like it's 24 hours. But let's see. Yeah, Lucid doesn't look like it's 24 hours. SMCI is kind of crazy. Will it get back to $100? It might. Is Rocket Lab still your number one stock? Let me see. I'm fairly certain. In fact, I'm 99% certain. Let me just double check. And by what margin? Rocket Lab is my number one stock by a 60% margin. In order for it to be overtaken, Palantir would need to increase by 60% from here. It's pretty crazy. Hello, Eric. Hopefully you're doing well. What are 3 private companies you wish were public so you could buy them? One for me is Discord. Probably Wawa, Buc-ee's. Can't think of a third one. We did talk about RDW. I don't know if this is 20 minutes behind, so hopefully you caught me talking about RDW. NBIS may be a hidden gem that will run up in 2025. NBIS. Nebius Group. A technology company that provides infrastructure and services to AI builders. Let's see. I've never seen such an interesting chart. I guess they got bought and taken private and then relisted. Provides infrastructure to AI builders worldwide, offers Nebius AI, AI-centric cloud platform, full-stack infrastructure, large-scale GPUs, cloud services, developer tools. Why wouldn't I just own Palantir at that point? I don't know. Celsius is powerful stuff, that's for sure. Do any of the old SAT networks have value? I don't know. I'm not that smart when it comes to that stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I think you guys give me a lot more credit. than I probably deserve. But speaking of SoFi, I mean, I'm kind of curious as a SoFi shareholder. What are we at? We're about $16. Can't complain with $16, my guys. Hey, you can't complain with $16. Yeah, we're going to Venus too. With Rocket Lab. Forgot about that. Mars and Venus for sure. MAK 1111. What are your thoughts about liquidating all my position? Sit on cash. Spidey senses going off. Hey man, if this was like 2020, 2021, I'd say no. But the fact is, you could get a little bit of money on your cash these days. You get 4% right now. It's going to shrink still probably to like 3 or so percent, but it really all just depends on what you need. If you have like $10 million and all you need is like couple hundred grand a year, I would say go for it. Why risk it? But it also depends on where you're at. For me, I can see I don't want to lose sight of what my real goal is, which is 8 figures. You can't get 8 figures by sitting in cash with where I'm at today, right? So it's where I'm at. You need to figure out where you're at, and I tell a lot of people, depends on what you're doing and what you need it for. I'm actually thinking about speaking about this. I don't want to say pivoting, but it is kind of a pivot because I've been focused on growth the last few years. But with some of the money that I have coming in, I've luckily got some Patreon members now, like 5 or 6 Patreon, maybe 7 Patreon folks now. And I'm about to get some my annual bonus here in the next couple months. And so I'm sitting here like maybe it's time to get kickstarted on a dividend portfolio again, where I literally use it for my play money, like if I want to go on a trip, because right now I pay out all that stuff out of pocket. So what I could end up doing is if I end up growing that to $1,000, $2,000 a month, I'm not going to quit my job, like my job. If it starts stressing me out, maybe I will, but I love my job. I love who I work with. I really love what I'm doing. So by no means, even if I had $20 million right now, I'd probably still be doing it because I like what I do. Like I said, if it starts stressing me out, it might be a different point, but I'm not stressed out and love what I do. So, but would love to kind of get to a place where I have a couple $1,000s a month coming in with play money. So really just depends on where you're at. But in terms of like timing the market, dude, I thought the market was expensive in March, February. I mean, go back and listen to the Cash Flow Chronicles. We thought we were going to pull back, and here we are, being up probably 75 points on the SPY, more than we thought. I think we were saying it was high at 520, 530 back in February, March. Rate cuts were imminent, all that. Here we are, 600, 610 on the SPY. So any exciting news about NEXT? Yeah, Donald Trump got elected. That's great news. He's very pro nat gas. He's pro deregulation in terms of being able to, make sure that things are appropriately regulated. He's not against making sure that there's zero regulations, just things that are appropriately regulated. The problem is you have new administrations coming in that the pendulum swings between being super environmentally friendly versus pro-business. And so what ends up happening is somebody will build a regulation, and then what doesn't end up happening is sometimes those regulations actually contradict each other. So to me, I think it's appropriate to kind of look at some of these things and say, and somebody gave me crap yesterday. They're like, don't you mean zero-based budgeting? I was like, yes, I'm taking zero-based regulation, looking at all the regulations that are in place for a specific industry and saying, what do we actually need rather than what's currently regulatory? Because you think certain things, right? Science tells you one thing, and then 6 months later or a year later, it tells you something completely differently because you don't have the appropriate amount of data to make the appropriate decision. But yet here you still have this regulation that says and has you, restricting yourself because of old or previously conceived notions that are no longer relevant. So I think a lot of that has to do with Doge and what hopefully will come out of that. Shout out to 168 of you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys being here on YouTube. Really appreciate that. And the one, I think that's probably just me. That's sitting there on Twitch. Top 5 growth stocks if your starting point is now. It's hard to say. A lot of things have run up. Top 5 growth stocks. I mean, what kind of time horizon, Like, it's hard to say. Like, is this strictly for 2025? But if it's forever, like if you're talking between now, if the market were to close and then be open back up in 20 years, I'd still say Palantir is probably one. Rocket Lab. I love Google here. I think Google Cloud platforms are going to continue to dominate. Amazon, I think, will continue to dominate. And good old TQQQ. But I also think SoFi would be a good one as well. But good old TQQQ, maybe for position number 5, if you think the NASDAQ will continue to prosper over the next 20 years. But that's the next 20 years, right? I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm not saying 2025. Although I do think Rocket Lab will continue to prosper in 2025. I do hope Palantir will consolidate. But I also think Google and Amazon, despite if you were to think about macro conditions, right, there's always that macro piece that could always come in and sideswipe you. But if you look at the individual companies themselves, I think they'll continue to prosper going into 2025. And same thing with Palantir. Palantir will continue to prosper going into 2025 as well. But the stock price, I think, is just way ahead of itself. I guess this is about Redwire. Building position in ARM. Bought SMCI at 24, but paper handed, sold in the 30s. Hey, man, you still made money. Still made money. What do you think Tesla will return to be in the next 5 years? I have no idea. Sorry. FAST, I'm not trying to be mean. I just literally. How low do you think Rocket Lab may retrace? I could easily, I don't want to say easily, but it could go back to $15, but I just don't see anything right now other than catalysts going forward. So it's hard to think that there would be, but if there's some sort of macro trend, or let's say Neutron gets delayed or something bad happens with Neutron that gets it to a point where it's not going to be able to fly in June, July timeframe, I could see it going back to $15. You're killing it scares you. Well, that's something I wanted to chat about. I was going to make a video about this, about 4 or 5 key things that I think people need to snap the fuck out of. One of which being like, I'm afraid to ruin my $10 cost basis on Rocket Lab or something like that. It's like, okay, well, you're just limiting yourself, right? I mean, do you think the company's going to continue to prosper over the next 10 years and it's going to be way bigger than it is today? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, then fucking screw your $10 cost basis, right? I see so many people loving and like petting things that they've done in the past. It's like, that's the past. Like, people talk about yield on cost for dividend stocks. It's like, it's great. I know it's yielding you 11% on an investment you made 20 years ago, but it's only yielding 1% today, when if your true goal is dividend income, there's something that's yielding 2 or 3%. You could be making more money. And who's to say that company, while it's yielding 11% on your cost basis, isn't necessarily going to be, and this is what I did with BHP. BHP, my position in that, I was yielding like 25%. And not to say that it was a bad dividend play, if in fact that's what I wanted to do. But I sat there and I said, BHP is at the top of their game. They were valued at like 50 or 60, 55 or $60 a share. And I was like, are they going to double here? Are they going to go to 100? Are they going to go to 120? The answer was no. So it's like, I love the company, and I put it in Rocket Lab. And what has Rocket Lab done? It's absolutely exploded. So if I was sitting there getting obsessed with the yield on cost that I had on BHP of 20-something%, then, or plus, right? Some years I had over 40% because they were giving back special dividends, because they were getting bought, part of their businesses bought out. The petroleum business got bought out in 2018, like stuff like that. Some years I absolutely destroyed it with the special dividends that I got from BHP. But at the end of the day, I'm like, once it gets fully priced, it gets fully priced. Like, what are you going to do? Just sit there? It just doesn't make sense a lot of the times. You really got to sit and understand, is this company really going to continue to grow? Or is it actually fully mature? And that's the answer. It just doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't invest, right? It just depends on what you're looking for. And at the time, I was looking for companies that were going to do extremely well very quickly. Not very quickly. It's not what I wanted to say. 5 to 10 years by 2030 timeframe, companies that could go up 300, 400%. And that was Rocket Lab. So I was just like, do I think that BHP is going to go up to $120 a share from 50 odd bucks? And then, like, BHP is a great company, right? It just, what was I looking for in the portfolio? I love BHP and I always have a good eye on it. In fact, this $51 mark, shit, I'm looking, right? And a lot of these petroleum companies, I'm keeping my eye out, because let's not get myself up too much. But like Devon, for example, let me share my screen. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. Like Devon, for example, has pulled back massively over the past year. Look at this. You were up in the 50, 55 range. People are talking about Oxy again, because it's down in the $47 range, and it was already up at $68. People are like, I'm dipping my toes. But who's to say that oil prices aren't going to continue to retrace, right? These are cyclical businesses. So you really have to be cautious about what you're doing. Anyway, I don't know why I got on a tangent with respect to this comment, but it is what it is. Bought one Tesla 400 to 500 debit spread. You're up about $28 or 28%. It's pretty badass. It's actually a pretty good idea. I like that idea a lot. I wonder, let's just take a quick look at that. I actually like that idea a lot. So you bought the 400. Let's go to June 26. Oh, this bad boy. Oh, it's even crazier. So you bought this. So his numbers are going to be not perfect, right? But you sold this. So your debit was, well, it's up 20-something%. So you probably got it for $2,500. Now it's at about $3,100. That's actually still not a bad deal, because look, your break even is going to be 428. So if you really think it's going to go to 500 bones, yeah, if you really think it's going to go to 500 bones, you're going to at least double your money, because you're going to put in $3,100. You're going to get a set, even at this price, right? I recognize yours is better, but yours is probably a 300%, not 300x, 300% return. Because let's just say you got in at 25, you're talking about $10,000 payout, because you're looking at the difference between 400 and 500 on 100 shares. And then you're minusing out the 2,500. Yeah, so you're talking about a potential 300% return. Now, this one, the most you're going to get, whoops, not that. 10,000 minus 3,130 divided by 3,130 is about a 200% return. So if it max goes to $500, that's not a bad dealio. Stop by real fast on my Sunday night to say what up. Johnny Utah, you're the man, dude. I appreciate you. Rocket Lab does all that and has a rocket. Exactly. I think you're talking about RDW. Yeah. Do you have your watch list posted? I do not. I do not have a watch list posted. Do I still own SoFi? Yes, I own just over 4,000 shares, and I have a lot of puts. I can read it. I can call out some of the things that I have on SoFi. I have like one or two. I'm not sharing, right? Okay, good. So SoFi, I have my 4,000-ish shares at a cost basis of just under $8. I have 7 put contracts for February 2025 at $11 that I just rolled. I had some on January, but they were up pretty significantly, so I sold those and I rolled them. I have 2 long $10 contracts, January 2026. Those are up about 200%. It's not a lot. They were only like $500, so the total now we're $1,500, so it's up 200%. So that's it. I feel like I need to do more on SoFi, but it is what it is. Looking at a new IPO called OneStream. They are interesting. I'd have to take a look. Any battery-specific companies I'm looking at? I am not. Chances Neutron fails in 2025. I don't know. I have a feeling it could get delayed, but it seems like they're on a roll, and they're testing, wet testing, stage tank number 2. I mean, they're doing a lot of good stuff, and things are really doing well. Your humor is off the hook when listening and commenting on their live streams. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I try my best. I'm trying to get the personality to flow through because sometimes I can be pretty dry just talking about stocks sometimes, Mode is real because the space is hard. I agree with that. ABCL, I do still have some ABCL. Any thoughts on XRP? I hope everyone does well with it. I would. The thing that I'm most fearful about this is I think there's 10 trillion XRP tokens, and people are talking for it to go to $10,000. They're like, Bitcoin went to 10,000. Why couldn't XRP? And I'm like, there's 21 million Bitcoin, 10 trillion XRP. So same, but different. You gotta think about that. It's gonna be pretty tough. Maybe 10 years down the road, we'll create a super heavy launch vehicle. They will do anything if it makes money. So if they say, hey, we need a second person to get us to Mars, and they think it's going to make money and profit, I think they would. Any thoughts on Bitcoin mining companies? I think if they hold more of their Bitcoin rather than sell it for cash, they might do better. Like Mara and stuff are starting to do a little bit more of that. But I'd rather buy the Bitcoin. I've recognized that unless you're able to get in at a super low cost basis, or maybe when it's really in the gutter, then it just doesn't make sense. Most of the time, it's just better to buy, because you always have to up your. And granted, I'm curious if things eventually get to the place where it actually makes sense. But eventually, you have to think the majority of the money eventually that will be coming from Bitcoin isn't going to be from mining and finding new Bitcoin. It's actually going to be from upholding the network, because there's going to be slight transaction fees. And that's what a lot of the money that it is doing right now is like you get rewards from confirming transactions. And so I'd actually be kind of curious what the value is per block for transactions. Value per block transactions, Bitcoin. Let's see. So reward per block, 3.125 Bitcoin. The reward, let's just see. Average transactions per block. Bitcoin average transaction fee. That's not what I want to see. But I guess every transaction, the average for December 2nd was $6. Now, that's not always, right? It fluctuates. Like the average on November 30th was $1.50. So I'm sure there, like in October, there was people getting transaction fees for less than $1. But this includes people that are sending literally millions of dollars and people that are sending, $5, right? So it really just depends. The fees have really gone down over time. Anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm not buying any miners. I hope everybody does well. The thing that bothers me, maybe we'll just take a quick look. And like I stated, I really hope everyone does well. But if you just take a quick look at how well Bitcoin has done this year, which is really the true value of what I see, is you're up 72% from Mara Holdings, and it's been extremely volatile, not a beautiful looking chart. And if you look at the past 5 years, it's still down. Well, I guess over the past 4 or 5 years, it's down, but over the past 5 years, it's up about 2,000%. Congrats to everybody there. But if you look all time, back in 2013, when it really started, it's technically down, probably because of all the dilution that they've done over time. But let's just use this for example. I mean, from 2021 peak, it was $75 a share, and we're sitting here at $25 a share. So you've still eroded 66% of the value if you bought the top now, and not everyone's buying the top. Versus if you look at Bitcoin the last 5 years, you're talking 1,200%, and it's a much healthier chart. So generally speaking, to me, it's generally just better to buy. Granted, I know 5 years time, it's less than 2,000, but to me, it's much easier to kind of predict what you have. Yes, this is some of the Bitcoin I have. It's where I buy a couple $100 a month, and then I transfer it. So where's that? So let's stop sharing screen. Betting big on MattMoney to go to the moon in 2025. Let's see. Amazing response, much appreciated. I appreciate you for the $5, man. It's very selfless of you, and any donations that I get are much appreciated. It goes right back into the portfolio. It's not like I'm out here driving Lambos, right? As much as I like to joke when Lambo and stuff of the like, I don't. I live in a very modest home. It's more than I can. This is a bedroom, right? Somebody should be living in this room. And unfortunately, I'm using it as an office. So, and then I have a guest room behind me. It's literally just me in a 3 bed, 2.5 bath house. Like, what am I going to do? Buy a 20-person house? Like, I don't have any kids, family, or anything. So it just should just stay in the market. And that's what it does. NVIDIA has a stake in APLD. That's awesome. What is APLD? Applied something? Applied Digital? Up 95% in the last year. Applied Digital is a technology company engaged in the provision and development operation of data centers, which provide computing power. Operates through the segment of cloud services business, HPC hosting, and data center hosting business. The company was founded by Wesley Carl Cummins and Jason Zhang. I wish them well. $2.5 billion company. Doesn't look like they're making money yet, which is fine. Most early startups don't. But it was founded in 2001, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Founded in 2001, it's 25 years on. Is it a REIT per se? Because maybe that's why REITs generally show negative price to earnings ratio for tax purposes. So I would be curious a little bit about that. But if this is specifically on like cloud service businesses, I already have high conviction in Amazon and Google for that. Not saying it's bad though. I don't know anything about the company. It's just so I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. For cloud services, I'd stick with Google personally and Amazon. Opening a Rocket Lab position for your parents for Christmas and regularly put money into it. Hopefully help out a little with their retirement. So much faith in this company. Hopefully you can get them a little fired up, man. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin, especially depending on where they're at, though, right? I don't know what retirement means. Is that in 15 years, 20 years, or is that in 10 years, or are they nearing retirement in 5? Right? If that's the case, then Bitcoin's not really going to help them in the next 4 to 5 years. It might go up, really, but help figure out the heck. Snapchat just started sending me like weird advertisements, like direct to me, and I don't know why. Like they sent me like it wasn't a Pepsi one. There was something the other day, and I'm like, why am I getting this? I didn't sign up for this. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I don't know if there's a setting you can do to unsubscribe to something like that. So yeah, I guess it just requires understanding. Like maybe it's, while Rocket Lab is great, I think 5 years time, I think it'll do really well. The additional money you might want to put in is maybe to like a dividend fund or something like that. Like I'm starting to focus on getting back to dividends because I need both, right? I want to have that growth that gets me to that 8-figure mark, but I also want to ensure that I have the ability to start living life, go on vacations a little bit more. Every time they send another rocket into space, I assume the price will go up. Well, you obviously haven't been watching the stock price after they send a rocket up into space. Sorry, guys. I know I'm a half of an hour behind. Let me try to speed it up. Not Bitcoin. I am a fan of Bitcoin for sure. How many small positions do you own? I don't know what you would consider small. It's kind of hard. I talked a little bit about, they don't know about Wawa. Preach, my guy. Preach. Yeah, Wawa. Although Wawa quality's gone downhill, man. Like I used to, every time I used to fly home to Philly to visit fam, I'd always be like, I got to stop by Wawa. And just the quality just isn't there anymore. It used to be like, oh my God, Wawa subs and hoagies are just the best. Chick-fil-A is a good answer too, with respect to companies that should be public, and Anduril, but they're currently private. Yeah, those are good. OnlyFans, there you go. Drink the same lime water. Enjoy the show. Much appreciated, my man. Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit healthier. You guys can keep me on my game if I don't look like I'm losing any weight, but trying to do better, right? Can't be too harsh on myself, but at the same time, need to be a little bit better. So I'm trying to get rid of some soda and stuff like that because I was just drinking too much. Palantir would take Rocket Lab by Friday then. Yeah, if Rocket Lab stays stagnant. If there's a recession next year, we see Palantir and Rocket Lab below 10. Rocket Lab maybe, doubtful. Palantir definitely not below 10. I think that, let's just do some quick math. So Palantir at $10 is a $25 billion market cap company. Next year, I'm going to say, I'm just taking math off the top of my head, I think they're probably going to walk away with about $750 billion in net income. Maybe that's adjusted income, but you put a 15x multiple on that. I don't know. That'll put them at a $12 billion market cap. I don't know. I just don't see it. Rocket Lab, if something drastic happens, some sort of recession, some bad things happen, could it go below $10? I still think is in the realm of possibilities. Yes. Do I think it's likely? No. And if you're asking because you're trying to wait to purchase the stock, and I just would say don't get greedy, because I've been greedy in the past and it's bitten me in the ass. And key example, I've talked about it a bunch of times, but Tesla, I thought about buying Tesla twice in the past, say 5 years, actually. In March of 2020, pre-split, it was down to, the market was kind of in turmoil and everything was going to zero. And Tesla was in the 350 range at the time. And I was like, well, let me buy it. And so I put a buy order for 350. The lowest it got to that day before it bounced off and immediately started skyrocketing the other direction was $350.10. Well, I think when I put that buy order in, it was $355, and it was, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, $25,000, which was a huge amount of money for me at the time. And I don't even want to know what that $25,000 would be worth, but probably $250,000 to, if not $300,000, maybe more. So over the fact that I just was being greedy about spending an additional $100 a share, not $100 a share, $100 total. So $100 in this case cost me about $300,000 worth of gains. So keep that in mind. And I see a lot of people saying about the same of Rocket Lab. You can't guarantee that the companies go down to $15, right? So if you think the company's going to continue to do well compared to what the stock price is today to where you think it's going to be in 5 to 10 years, just buy a little bit. Don't have to buy everything, but at least you don't want to say woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? You could always say, I regret not buying more. I could say that about a bunch of stocks, but I still have the money. right? And I still have the returns. So even though I say the same thing about Palantir, woulda, coulda, shoulda, wish I bought more, I still have, a 6-figure position, and it's made me quite a happy man. Same thing with Rocket Lab, right? I could have been like, ooh, I'm gonna wait for it to pull back, but like I showed you, I'm buying a couple $100 a month just in my Robinhood account. 50 shares here and there. It all adds up. Hopefully they buy back stock in the long term, 20 years, 30 years from now, and that 50 shares will have split, once or twice, and could end up being a couple hundred shares and have dividends piling in on its own at that point. Neuralink, Twitter, X, Space, Stripe, people all thinks of companies that could be public. Amid starting a position in Grab, thoughts. I just need to let it simmer a little bit. I hope everybody that's getting into Grab, Sachin, Amit, TJ, I'm going to forget somebody, Chris Patel, Sam Solid, all those guys. I truly wish them all the best. Sal K, what's going on, my guy? I appreciate you stopping by. But with respect to this, I just don't see the mode at the moment. Granted, they've done a lot more research than I have. So I wish them the best. And I think those guys are all real smart and they might be onto something great. But it's just not something that I view as super lucrative. It's already a $20 billion company. Super lucrative is not the right word. Super lucrative with respect to where the current valuation is. I would love to, and granted, I know they have like $4 or $5 billion of cash. I'm going to get that wrong as well. So technically it's, if you're talking about what you're valuing the company at, you're talking 15, 16 billion. But to me, I feel like that there's an opportunity for a pullback before I were to truly get involved. Granted, I know sometimes when a bunch of people pile into something, it ends up being the right move. But then again, we've been in a great bull market over the past year. So everything has gone up. So XAI, that would be a good one to go public as well. I've been eyeing SPY after Steve mentioned it last week. So Steve's a great guy. I love Steve, but not saying he's wrong, right? But it always goes back to what's your objective, right? And I think a lot of times when people talk about these sorts of things, they want to have their cake and eat it too. And so I just want to pull this up. And it's no hit on Steve. I actually tremendously value Steve and listen a lot when he talks because the guy knows his shit. And he's not only successful in the stock market, but he's just a successful person in general in the office as well. And I value that, people that can be successful on multiple fronts. But I just want people to know there's a lot of these covered call ETFs that are out there, and you kind of have to be cautious. And the problem with this as well, let me get rid of this last one, is, and then let me share my screen. Actually, let me add one more. Is you have to know what you're after. You got to know what you're after, because what ends up happening is you can underperform. And now, granted, this doesn't include the yields, so take that with a grain of salt too. But this highest one is obviously the S&P 500 on its own. It's up about 32% in the last year. SPY, which is XYLG, so this is 50% growth, 50% regular SPY, 50% of it is covered. So it's 100% SPY, I should say, and only half the position is covered. You can see it's about half the return, maybe a little bit more. And this is basically allowing you to get a little bit of more income from covered call ETFs versus the total appreciation of the S&P 500. You can see it's a little bit of a drag. So obviously if you were to include the yield, it'd probably be closer to 25, 26%. But comparatively to 32%, which if you included the yield, be 33.5%, underperforms. And then you still have SPY I, which is this NEOS S&P 500. This is this darker blue. You can see that's 10%. Granted, I think that this yields 10% as well. So this is about a 20% return. So this would still come in third. And then you have XYLD, which I think also yields about 10, 11%. So this would come in about 18, 19% return for the year if you were to include that. So I guess it really just depends on what's the goal, right? It's the goal income, and it goes back to what I'm going to do. So I'm investigating whether or not I put a lot in this XYLG, which is this XYLG, which is this lighter blue, which gets you to a pretty good return. I do 5 years, but not all of them have 5 years of history, right? So it wouldn't be appropriate. But everyone has about a year of history or more. So for this XYLG, you're starting to see actually still good returns, 20% capital appreciation, plus 4 to 5% yield. So that's kind of where I'm leaning to. But then there's also something in here that I don't have listed that Curtis actually showed me, which I don't know if I'm 100% comfortable sharing as of yet. I'd want to do a little bit more research before I do. But it goes back to what your objective is, right? If your objective is capital appreciation and getting to the 8-figure mark, and that's all that matters, you don't really care about retiring, let's just say you're 20 years old and you really just want to make as much money as possible, you don't care about income, etc., then just keep it in SPY. But if you're kind of like me right now, you want to start generating a little bit of income, backing off a little bit, getting to a place where you have something that basically matches your current salary if you ever decide to leave your job, etc. That's where the XYLG kind of comes in. And then you have the XYLD, which is kind of the orange, which is the most underperforming of them, which is 100%. It's the S&P 500 and 100% covered calls. This is what I assume this NEOS is as well. It's just writing covered calls. The problem with a lot of these funds is you're exposed pretty much entirely to the downside. You can see that, generally speaking, all of them decreased the same amount on the downside with this August pullback. But where it really starts to differentiate is during these up cycles. And the reason being is you're writing covered calls, right? So if you're going up 2 to 3% a month, you're limiting yourself, right? And so you just see that, as you go from January to March to May, there's a very good run up in the first 4 to 5 months. And Spider, the S&P, the uncovered one, obviously goes up about 15 or so percent, pulls back a little bit, but so does all the rest. So anyway, just some food for thought. BITO dividend tomorrow. Good Real Blessing have options and good ones too. What are my thoughts on DXYZ? I don't have any thoughts on it, although I think it's, if I remember correctly, people have been chirping up about it. I think it's like a space fund or something, right? Destiny Tech 100. Year to date up 784%. The last 3 months up 584%. Operates a non-diverse closed-end fund investment company. Company was founded November 18th, 2020. Is headquartered in Austin. Good luck to everybody that's in it. I don't know enough about it. I'd have to do more research. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I just don't know. Melanie, what's going on, my guy? Good to see you. Let's see. We're looking at these stocks in the energy sector. I think we talked a little bit about oil. I'm still waiting for it to come down a little bit. We got folks chirping in from Twitch talking about Rocket Lab 100%. No Tesla. I do think Tesla could be something. I wouldn't mind getting a little bit on there. Let's go in Italian. The Arabic version does not have the same ring to it. There you go. Like vamonos. Like vamonos. Yella. When Bitcoin is zero, not soon enough, man. We need to add another zero. We need to get to $1 million. Ruined your Rocket Lab cap space is adding like mad now. Hey, man. I'm 50 years old. Rocket Lab to $100 in 5 years is all that I'm asking to finally retire. Hopefully you continuously add on a monthly basis as well. Hopefully something a little bit more less volatile, because you never know. One company risk is always something that's very concerning. Still buying every month, no matter the cost basis, thinking about a 20, 30-year time horizon. That's me personally, what I like to do. Destroyed your $8 cost basis, but at $500, I'll be a lot happier. There you go, for a Palantir. With Trump 2025, the same effect as Obama in 2008, market probably correcting starting March 25. Hard to predict. I personally think that we're in for some sort of correction. It's just the market's run a lot. Now, correction only means 10%, right? Or do we enter some sort of bear market? I think that's healthy as well. In fact, I love bear markets because generally speaking, bear markets, you're buying a 20% discount of prices you were just paying most of the time on average. So I would love a nice bear market. AMC shareholders, so much drama with that. Hey, my sister sent me a picture. You know, they've come out with some of these luxury, this thing's bothering me. Came out with some luxury theaters lately. I don't know if I did any justice to that. And my sister sent me a video, or not a video, a picture of them going to see Moana 2. And it's some beautiful leather seats. I'm like, oh, you're taking me to the frou-frou, like fancy movie theater. She's like, no, this is the AMC by our house. I'm like, what are you talking about? Had leather seats. There's space in between the seats. Normal AMC's got these cloth seats that haven't been washed since 1992. And like there's stickiness all over the floor. And you feel like you're in a spider web and they're trying to come and suck your blood out of your fucking skull. But here you are in this nice frou-frou. So that's where all AMC's money's going, I guess, is they're trying to get these leather seats. Made me feel like I needed to go. They had some nice popcorn, dude. Buttered popcorn at the movies is nostalgia right there. Top month performance picks for 2025. What do you mean top month? I'm just going to give you my top picks for 2025. It's probably Rocket Lab, Bitcoin. I still think has at least 80% to go. I think Bitcoin will top out at about 180,000. All right, we saw Bitcoin pull back to 98.5 and is now rebounded to 99. Let's see, Clove. Clove's an interesting one. I invested in Clove when it was back in the, what is that, IPOC? I forget what it was. IPOE? No, IPOE was SoFi, I think. Is anyone in Grab? I bought some long calls, then I sold them for a slight profit. Anyone buy BPM and YPM in their Roth? Vanguard sent me a warning about tax consequences. Anyone similar experience? They might not have. I don't know. I'm not an accountant or a tax guy, but they might not have. They might have just sent it to you, not recognizing that it's in your Roth. But it could be that you still have to pay some things, depending on if they have a K1 and stuff like that. You might still end up owing something. Coinbase are the biggest clients, I think, for APLD. You wanted more Midwest, but couldn't lose that average. I'm assuming they're talking about APLD. What stocks? We talked about everything, man. We talked about it all. I've been doing a lot of DD on APLD since you told me about it, and they might buy a couple hundred shares. So I assume you're still talking about APLD. ARCC paying around 8%. You're fine. It's your world. We live in it. No, I live in your guys' world. I'm just trying to help my best. My St. Bernard's name is Wawa. There you go. Wawa to 0. Drink tea. You're right, my guy. Tea's good. Sheets is taking over PA if they're better than Wawa. I do prefer Sheets over Wawa, but I eat like crap. So, looking healthier. I appreciate that. I also trimmed the beard a little bit. That's probably part of it. If I lose money, then I can lose weight by not eating. Yeah, I was speaking of this. I was talking to my buddy the other day. I was like, imagine being like DJ Khaled and having somebody make you the most amazing salads and stuff in the world. Because, dude, I love a good salad. Most of the time, they're probably not healthy, but they're probably healthier than what I'm eating. So what I'm used to eating normally, right? So I was just like, dude, if I had private chef money, like I would just be like, dude, like just make sure I'm eating 1 or 2 healthy ass meals a day, and maybe once a week, like get me fired up and make me something crazy like that would keep me energized, for the next for the next time that it shows up. But like if I had somebody that was able to make me like steak and eggs or like something super healthy like eggs and stuff in the morning, then but normally I just don't even end up eating in the morning. I just wait till lunch anyway. If I find if I lose money, that I can lose weight by not eating silver lining in every cloud. There you go. We're talking about APLD, sell some cash secured puts. Not exactly sure on which company. Sorry, I know I'm behind. My guy, Inbound, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm at least catching up a little bit. Woulda, coulda, shoulda member has always as well. Yep, 100%. Shout out to 173 of you guys being here. If you guys could do me the favor of subscribing. I'm not asking you to become a member. I know that costs money. I don't want you guys to spend money. I'd rather you put that in the market. But if you feel so inclined, would appreciate it. That said, subscribing is completely free. It allows you to communicate and chat with us. So just a reminder, I think some people often think that becoming a subscriber means you have to pay to chat. You do not have to pay to chat. You just have to be a subscriber for 10 minutes to try to keep out some of the trolls. Selling cash secured puts, I want them at adjusted $16 cost base and move up price at 16. As long as they don't do a Palantir, I will get there eventually. I anticipate you're talking about Rocket Lab. I get paid to wait. I love that. I assume that's cash secured puts is what you're referring to. Grab have so much share dilution, $20 billion market cap, and it's $5. It's a lot of shares. Just saying. I'm not wrong with you there, Jackie. I'm with you. Rocket Lab and LUNR have a lot of potential due to possible exit of Boeing from rocketry and space. I agree with this wholly. And I think that this has opened up a new avenue for Rocket Lab. Had Boeing continued to kind of stay in, I don't think that there would be enough TAM for some of the things that are going out in the future. But Boeing getting out, I think it leaves a lot of possibilities for Artemis in the future. And not all Artemis missions have been announced. As far as I'm aware, only Artemis 5 has been announced, but I'm not up to speed on all that. So let's just see how many Artemis missions are planned. So to give you guys an idea, let's go through this because some of you guys may or may not know. And I'm a space enthusiast, but I'm not an expert, right? So I'm all about it. Like I love it. It gets me all teary-eyed. I love it. But people call me out, and I'm like, I'm not claiming I'm an expert here. But hopefully I have a little bit more knowledge than the layman, so I can at least provide some sort of effort here. So NASA's Artemis program is planning to launch 6 missions between 2022 and 2031. And keep in mind, Rocket Lab is actually a part of this because they launched the Capstone mission, which helped with some of the trajectories, right? So Artemis 1, the first mission, which was uncrewed test of the Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System, SLS, launched in November 2022. Artemis 2, the first crewed flight of the SLS and Orion, which was now scheduled for 2026. So what is this? This was part of the Capstone piece, right? So what do we have? Do we have the Capstone launch in here? No, not necessarily, but you kind of see a little bit about what they're trying to do with respect to, right, the launch of the this is like the astronauts in general. So launching the astronauts, the slingshot around to kind of get you there. Then you have the drop off, and then you have the kind of coming back. Actually, there's no drop off onto the moon for this one, but just kind of slingshotting and going around. And then you have Artemis 3, which is what is this? Crew transfers to and from the moon, which is another thing that Rocket Lab may be involved in, is creating like a secondary. This is part of Artemis as well, is kind of creating this, what's this, satellite or like space station around the moon. So it's easier. So it's almost like you have this thing that's constantly spinning around the moon, kind of like the International Space Station for Earth. But the hope is then you can kind of transfer to and from. So instead of just doing like 2 or 3 days on the moon at a time, you can do 2 to 3 days, go back up to this moon space station, take a week or two, rejuvenate, rehydrate, etc., go back, get fuel, etc. And so to make it a little bit easier in that respect. And so that's mid-27. 2028, second crew lander, lunar landing mission That's for 2028. So this is back where they hopefully get back to that. Artemis 5 is the third crew landing in 2030, and Artemis 6 is that. So the Artemis goals are landing the first woman and first person of color on the moon, establishing a sustained human presence, basically getting back to that like moon space station, and preparing for human expeditions to Mars. The Artemis program uses the SLS and commercial launch vehicles and the Orion Lunar Gateway and Human Landing System crew modules. So Artemis is currently comprised of 6 missions. I thought it would be more than that. How many planned Artemis are there? So it looks like at the moment there's just the planned 6. Maybe Artemis is so 7. So there is Artemis 7. Artemis 9, Artemis 10. So let's just see. So yeah, so this goes back to how LUNR and Firefly and all these folks. So IM1, which was the Intuitive Machines. This is the one that failed and fell over, right? Blue Ghost, actually, Rocket Lab is helping providing operating equipment, operating systems, and software for the Blue Ghost for Firefly. So there's that piece. And then you have IM2, which apparently is going to be launched in January. Some people say it's going to be in February, and that's for Falcon 9. Some people say the February launch is actually going to be on Stoke. I don't know which to believe. And so there's that. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, the hope is I don't know where I went to with the artist stuff, but hopefully that was useful. Oh, talking about Artemis. Always appreciate your perspective. Seems very grounded, a good contrast, much hype. I appreciate that. I try not to hype up. Try to be, some people are trying to get subscribers. So I was here for subscribers. I was here for making money on YouTube. I would have quit a long time ago. I get a couple $100 a month, but not even. Just recently, I've been getting a couple $100 a month, but most of the time I'm averaging about $100 a month, $150. If I have a really good Rocket Lab Week donation, shout out to my sugar daddies, Curtis and Fool's Gold, then I'll end up getting a couple $100. But yeah, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to just help people and occupy my time, and I have fun doing it. Steve to Zero, Swell Steve. Steve's the man. What's your view on SoFi 1 to 3? Is it expansive currently? Thoughts? I think they're doing good work, man. I don't necessarily dive as much into the company as I should. I kind of lucked out, bought it at a decent price, and it's been doing rather well for me in the market. Steve's the milkman. I love you guys, dude. You guys are great. I've been giving a crap to Steve. I was like, Steve, Trump has tapped Stephen Fiorillo from New York to lead the Department of Milk and Meat. And nobody has thought that's funny yet, so I'll just keep saying it until somebody laughs at it. So, hey, man, what's your view? I'm holding it, I don't see a reason to sell it. So we'll see. I just don't think it's super – I don't think it's super cheap. I think it's fairly valued. I think at the moment, though, it's growing at a pretty expansive rate. And, if it was $50 a share or something, I would sell it. But I just think it's got some room to go. And I love these guys, Tevis, Roy, and Tanner. And I know I'm leaving out Chris. He doesn't do the YouTube as much, so I don't get to follow him. But for some reason, Chris from DDI just does the data-driven investing. His tweets just don't. I don't know if I don't interact with him enough, but I follow the guy, and I have no hate against him. But he just doesn't show up on my feed. He does really good work, so I'm pretty upset at the algorithm. I wish it would just show up more. Maybe I just need to independently search him a little bit more. But these guys show where SoFi ranks in terms of total deposits and stuff like that. And these guys are killing it. They're climbing quick. So obviously they're not going to get to the top 10. through the top 10 as quickly as they're getting through everybody else. But I think they're like the 40th largest by deposits at the moment. So that's bullish. There's a lot of room between where we are today and the top 10. So if they get anywhere close to that top 10, it'd be a couple $100 billion bank at that point. You following any of the nuclear trade or quantum trade that seems hyped at the moment? No, I wish everybody the best on the nuclear trades. I still don't think that these SMRs are as lucrative as people think they are. I still think that there's still technology barriers associated with it. If there is a company that does end up succeeding, I'll be very much into it. But at the moment, I still think a lot of it is in the test phase. So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody's really made any huge progress on having SMRs be approved and actually sanctioned and working. So fingers crossed. I mean, if that was the case, then Microsoft would be doing it, right? Rather than trying to get 3 Mile Island back up and running. But I might be wrong. I'm not versed on it. So hopefully somebody can educate me a little bit more. My guy, glad you're alive, man. Love you to death. Glad you're alive. Glad you're alive. Added 600 shares of SPY to retirement account last week. Small portion. I'm all about it. Any thoughts on NEP? I've thought about this one. Yeah, I've thought about this one. I'd have to look deeper. The thing that confuses me about NEP a little bit is how it works for NEE, the Next Era Energy. So this is the partnership. They generally pay out a lucrative dividend payment. So this actually could be a decent one. I think it's actually undervalued here. It's taken a huge hit based off of interest rates. And obviously that putting a stall on renewable projects at the moment. That was weird you got the boot. I hope not. I didn't boot you. Maybe can other moderators boot other moderators? Anyway, so for NEP, I don't think it's a bad one. I don't know where the yield is at. I know it was always a lucrative yield, but it could be somewhere to park some money. Honestly, if I'm getting back to it, and hopefully declining interest rates is favorable for this one. But year to date, it's down 40%. Not to say it's going to go back up, but NextEra is not going to stop. So unless they change the view on how they do these projects, this is always going to get revenue, in my opinion. So it's just, will that revenue be as lucrative as they once thought, just based off the current interest rates, etc. So we'll have to see. Dougie, what's going on, man? Always appreciate you stopping by, dude. You're the man. I don't know why you are not a member. Why you are not a, let's see. Where do I find Dougie? Here we go. Dougie Dallas. Add as moderator. Don't know why you're not a moderator, my guy. There we go. Hope that helps. Do not outperform SPY that much, and I wish I just put it in SPY. Yeah, and the thing with JEPI in these dividend income ETFs is you're going to pay taxes on those too. And a lot of the times, some of it could be return on capital. Return of capital, not return on capital, return of capital, which is tax preferred. But some of it is also going to show up as that covered call income. And so you're going to end up paying some interesting taxes on it potentially. So, at the end of the day, if you just held SPY, the majority of the returns on the SPY are just going to be that unrealized capital gains. So you won't have to pay any taxes on that. So keep that in mind. We talked a little bit about SoFi. Send us some screenshots in your DMs. Dude, it goes down in the DMs, my guy. Goes down in the DMs. It holds SpaceX as the top holding. Did I miss something? I don't know. I didn't see the first message here. Dougie. Bottom to the quantum hype up IOQ 42 RGTI at 163 QBTS. Dude, my guy Stefan. He's printing money, man. Best viewers on next gen followers, Russia. I got Russians following me, man, on Twitch. I'm all about it. Do whatever you need as long as I can get my Twitch monetized. We'll love that. I'd like to see a correction. Hell yes. I know I'm 20 minutes behind, but grab is misunderstood. You have 5 brilliant people say it's worth the risk. Jackie, might be. It might be. Wishing people the best. Commander Shepard, hey Matt, interested in buying ET Energy Transfer, and I'd like your input. Stephen Fiorillo gives a really good amount of information on ET. So let me see. He wrote one rather recently. He's the best guy that I know when it comes to writing on different companies. This one's about Enbridge. He always writes about ET. Here we go. This one is probably the best thing that you could do. So please read that. But he also has some recent ones about Enbridge and Kinder Morgan, all of which I think if you're in the midstream space, great companies. I used to own Kinder Morgan. In fact, I think it's a great company. It's just a lot of them have run up a little bit. Not to say it's a bad thing, but to me, I think there's better opportunities in the market to potentially do some returns. Like, let's look at ET. Like I said, it's not by any means a bad opportunity, and it's done really well. But do I think? Whoops, wrong thing. This is the article, right? Hot Steve recommended a strong buy. You can see he covers it pretty frequently, and he's done rather well on it. But let's just take a look at ET. So it's up 1%. Year to date, it's up 40%. Not bad, like I stated. Over the past 5 years, though, only 62%. You have that impact from what happened in 2014, 2015, loading of debt, dilution, etc. And so with that, you obviously have had some impacts since 2020, and people that bought in 2020 have been happy. I anticipate Kinder Morgan and a lot of these other companies are rather comparable in terms of what's happened. So 2014, 2015 obviously got impacted pretty hugely. You can see it's rather the same, right? Kind of floundering a little bit until recently, finding a little bit more of its stride. And then you also have Enbridge. These are 5-year charts, people. So just giving people some context, right? So you're up 16%. And this one also more recently starting to show up with about 25% over the past year. So it goes back to what's the goal, right? I mean, I'm not saying that these guys are bad companies to invest in. You just kind of have to keep in mind, what's your goals, and is that the right place, right? Or are you just buying it just because you want something? I hear so many people make weird, obscure, arbitrary sort of things. And granted, I know I do the same, right? So I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody. Some people are like, I need to make 2% a month. And I'm like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard, right? Just do the best thing that you can, right? Do the best that you absolutely can. Maybe you'll make that 2%, maybe you won't. But so many times I hear people like talking about how they want to make 2% a month. And I'm just like, you're going to make silly mistakes trying to do that. Selling puts, so this, that, and the other. It's just, anyway. International tax, and I believe in BPYPN, and Fidelity pays it out for me immediately. Yes, I think it's Canadian, right? So that might be a part of it. Like the McDonald's specials through their apps. I haven't seen those. I did use the app a little bit when it came out, but I haven't been going to McDonald's as much lately. Although I would kill for what is it? Double cheese, double quarter pounder. Those things are fucking great. She's because I have the fries, but Wawa's still awesome. Some people love the Wawa coffee. I'm just not a really big coffee drinker when I'm on vacation, so don't really know. Tea with no sugar avoids diabetes as well. Appreciate that. I do need to do a little bit more tea. Munch on jerky, expensive would have helped. Exactly what I did today. It's literally the only thing. I ate some jerky. I do need to eat something before I go to bed, though. Although it's 10:30, so maybe I'll just go and True Looks on me next Friday, meaning in 7 days, or 5 days. I'm not sure when I'm flying out for the holidays, so I gotta check it out. But I'm not saying no. I just got to figure out. We've been playing tag, man. I apologize. I wish we could have met up. It just seems like I'm either out of town or unfortunately getting to you too late. But I do definitely want to see you before I get out of here for the holidays. What does membership cost for these things? I'm not sure what you mean. You don't have to be a member, man. You could always just reach out to me on X or something of the like. I try to be responsive. If you can find me on Discord, that's fine. Although sometimes it just goes to like whatchamacallit. What's the word I'm looking for? It just goes into like a sitting folder. Like I found like 12 people that tried messaging me today. Not just today, but like over the past month or a couple months. And I felt bad. They just had questions. And unfortunately, some of them were timeless questions and I was able to get to them. And some of them like were about specific options and what they should do. And I felt bad, but yeah, I try my best. So the best thing to probably do is just to reach out to me on X. It's generally where I'm mostly looking at notifications and stuff like that. And I don't really think there's like an area where you can like DM me through the membership program, you know? Amazon's at 230. I don't hate it. It's just, it's insane. I don't blame it, man. I don't blame it. Yeah, I was buying it late 2022, $85 a share. Can't believe it. Amazon's doing well, man. Yes, 10% of your net worth, exactly. Any thoughts on investing in hydrogen? I'm still trying to understand the hydrogen thing, man. There's no real market for it yet. Like you have, how do I say this? There's a market, but it's not really established yet. So I feel like it's a big gamble. You'd have to subsidize it or make carbon tax a larger impact to promote people to start investing and moving it over to that infrastructure. Otherwise, right now, it's just easier to just use normal natural gas or so hydrogen just seems like at the moment it's tough. How much more does everyone think that these momentum stocks can go between now and December 31st? Good question, man. It's going on way longer than I thought was going to happen. Don't think hydrogen can scale. All the research I did for Plug just doesn't appear to hold. Yeah, I think there needs to be some sort of movements in the regulations or the cost basis of going after oil and gas for it to make a lot of sense. It's tough at the moment from what I've seen. Good entry price for Rocket Lab depends on your time horizon. I think if you're looking for 10 to 15 years, I think now's a better price than you might see. It will drop maybe you get up below $20, but you never know. And that's the thing, you know. A lot of people were like, "Ooh, it's at $6. Maybe it'll drop to $5. Maybe it'll drop to $4," and then they never bought because maybe they was going to drop to $3. What you can guarantee is what the price is in the past and what it is today. You can't guarantee what the price is going to be tomorrow. Sometimes you set to buy. Yeah, it depends on your time horizon, exactly. We've got 16 more trading investing days between Monday the 9th and end of year. How much more do we want to be up? I don't know. I appreciate you sharing on X, YouTube, and the weeklies. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everybody here checking out. We're at 172 strong. I can't believe 172 people would sit here and listen to dear old Maddie. Appreciate how you're out these consistently. Have made some serious nickels because of you and cohorts. All right, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Hopefully you continue to do extremely well. I'd be happy for them to stay as they are, all of them, the rest of the 2024. Yes, I would love to continue to buy more. Have you convinced Tevis to buy Rocket Lab yet? Oh, man, I don't know. I think he might have. I'm tired of his shit. He needs to. Can't get on YouTube right now. Well, hopefully this is sufficient for you, my guy. I still see your comments. So hopefully Twitch is okay. Shout out to the 3 of you guys watching on Twitch. It's helping me because I need to get to I need 3 consistent watchers on Twitch or something over the course of a month. So like not only do you need to get a certain amount of subscribers, I've gotten to that. Not only do you need to basically do a certain amount of streams, but you also need to have a certain amount of watchers. So if you guys could, you don't need to watch on Twitch, but if you prefer, and it's the same to you, and you're just sitting here watching 170 of you on YouTube, then would love it if you watch on Twitch because it'll just help my numbers. 559 shares a grab. Hopefully that works out for the best. Moderator. Interesting. Do you have an opinion on AEHR test systems? I like it at this price. Would love to get your opinion on it. Air. Manufacture, market, and sale of test and burn-in equipment used in semiconductor industry. Its products include Fox XP, Fox NP, and Fox CP wafer contact parallel test and burn-in systems. The wafer pack full wafer contactor, the die pack carrier, the wafer pack aligner, and the die pack autoloader and its test fixtures. It's pulled back significantly. Is there some other competition that's like come into the market that is causing it to drop significantly? It's in the right industry. I mean, we're always going to need semis. I guess my question is if it's not really involved in next gen, if it's involved in just like regular CPUs, it's probably not going to be bueno. Not to say CPUs are bad, it's just they're not getting as much love as GPUs are right now. And GPUs are a lot better, in my opinion, for more complex computing. CPUs are very good about very simple tasks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I have to do a little bit more research on it. There are small modular reactors in China, Japan, and Russia operational, but not in the U.S. Illinois has lifted the ban in the U.S., but soonest operational plan is 2026. We'll see, my guy. Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't know. Grab is the Asian Amazon. What happened to being the Asian Uber? I don't know. About the SMRs thing, though. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it. It's just, I think it's tough. I think it's tough. I don't know who to believe. Hold on. I got a ring notification. Okay. It's just, whatchamacallit? Just the community thing, not somebody at my front door or anything. Yeah, I'm very confused. I thought it did banking and taxis as well. Asian Amazon. Yeah, I'm a little bit confusing. KMI is crushing with nat gas. Pretty depressed. Interesting. I'm a real G. No, man, you guys are the G's for being here. I'm just trying my best. I don't necessarily know everything. I apologize if I don't know about your stock, but I'm not going to try to gaslight you and try to make you think that I do. ET does have a good dividend for sure. Yeah, I'm just as confused about Grab being Asian. Am I late to the meds kicking in? Good night. Merry Christmas. Heard it here first. You're the man, dude. Much appreciated. Any thoughts on HBAR? HBAR, is that the cryptocurrency? I don't know much about cryptocurrencies, my guy, other than Buckcorn. Or is that a stock? No, it's a cryptocurrency. Shout out to the people who are about it. I know some people that were all about it. I don't know if they're in it anymore, but I'm a Bitcoin guy. You know, I think Bitcoin is the furthest along in terms of the cryptocurrencies. Obviously, the eldest, the cryptocurrencies. So we will see. I want 5% a month with long-term investing, 60% a year, I guess. Good luck. Let me know when you get there. I ate a double quarter pounder today, man. Yeah, DQP, man. It's hard. Weight retention is more related to the acidity of the food than the fat content. Yeah, fat's not necessarily a bad thing, right? My body, I'm not a health enthusiast. Sorry, I'm not a health. What's the word I'm looking for? Educator by any means. If you take a look at me, right? But my body in the past, when I've done more high protein, higher fat versus lower carbohydrate, or not versus, but and lower carbohydrates, it's generally been preferred for me. So I think a big problem that I have is that I lean more towards carbohydrates. I guess the general craving for those useless carbs. Granted, yes, they provide energy, but my body's always responded better to higher meat diets. Generally, it sheds off of me really quick. They don't match your bros, but I like the dollar coffee. Wawa, yeah, Wawa's a good time. QuantumScape, haven't heard that one in a while. Hopefully, you're doing well on it. I like the value you provide. You work your ass off on these podcasts, and it's appreciated. I appreciate you, man. I have a lot of fun doing these. Cocoa Melon? The Vita Cocoa Company. Oh, coconut water? Up 100% over the past 4 to 5 years. The last year up 30%. Year to date up 42%. Interesting. I don't know much about a hood, man. That's an emit thing. Almost all diseases root in acidic pH. Cancer cannot survive nor thrive long in a pH of 7.36. Yeah, I've also heard about fasting as well. Like people that fast, like a lot of your cells can kind of provide their own energies, but cancer cells cannot if you don't eat. So, or you don't eat, but you're fast, right? So fasting, it kills off a lot of the cancer cells from what I'm understanding. And so people will be recommending doing 72-hour fasts because of that. Let's see. Ashwin, what's going on, my guy? Thank you for subscribing. Much appreciated. New follower, but got put in your direction through a Mint. Not sure if I missed it, but what are a couple stocks you're shortlisting for 2025? You're seeing a lot of grab. I'm staying away from for the time being. I think there's likely to be a retracement. I'm not really, if I liked that concept like Uber and stuff like that, I would have bought Uber. But I just think, it's a little bit tough. I like Rocket Lab. I like Bitcoin for 2025. I like Google and Amazon for 2025. So there's that. Palantir is apparently sneaking back up from what Lee Allison is saying. We're at 737. Sorry, 79.37 in the overnight. Any thoughts on sound? I don't have any thoughts on sound. Good luck to everybody on it, though. Germany's highest award for molecular biology is the Otto Warburg. Sorry. Otto Warburg medal. Palantir to 100. It might. I really hope it doesn't, but the only price you can guarantee is the price you see now. Love that. Like the video, lads. It helps Matt. Thank you. Much appreciated. Yes, it does help the algorithm for sure. It definitely does. Oh, wow. Shout out to the few of you guys that went over to Twitch. Much appreciated. That really does help. It really does. It's not advice. It's just me being an idiot on the internet, but hopefully it helps you in some sort of way. I appreciate you, Mike. Really appreciate you. Just wondering when Palantir is going to pull back after this huge run up. I feel like doomsday will happen. Um, Doomsday will happen after the fiscal year 24 earnings. And not to say that the company is not going to continue to do well. The company is going to continue to do well. I think that it's just not justified with the current valuation. But at the same time, I don't think it's the valuation that people are buying. I think it's the institutions. And in order to get people to sell, the retail investors, I think, are holding onto those shares very tight. And to me, in order to get people to sell, you have to get the stock to run. And, I think that's the problem. Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is a lot of people don't want to sell, so they have to convince them to sell through. And I think that they either need the shares or they want the shares to get more control of the company. Because believe it or not, if you have 10% of the company, you can dictate a lot of things. Dear old Matty, the voice of reason. I appreciate that. Probably not, though. Have you looked at SQ Square? The chart is loud buy, and it's a great Bitcoin proxy. I've heard some people saying they should get back into Square. I don't know what about the stock over the past year makes it a buy per se. I'm not a good chartist. Looks like it's already run up 50, 60%. Not saying that means it's worthless. It's just... Man, it did well during the pandemic, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Wishing everyone the best on that one. Yeah, wishing everyone the best on that one. Only 100 will be there by the end of this week and 225 by the Jan. Yeah, Palantir is an interesting one. Bunker Buster for you. 200 IQ. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. Watching on Twitch for the numbers. Much appreciated. Really do appreciate that. Moved over from YouTube. Appreciate you. Palantir gets to 225 by Jan. I will sell out and buy a really nice house. There you go. I love that. I meant to say moderator when you were drawing a blank for a moment when you were making a Dougie a moderator. Yes. I was probably preoccupied. Found 5 Bitcoin in an old mining wallet 2 weeks ago, buying more Palantir. I don't know if I would sell that Bitcoin, my guy. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. Yeah, much appreciated for you guys that moved over, because I do need that. I do need those numbers. Damn it, I just saw a flipping mouse run across the floor. Jesus. Hopefully we got some mice traps. We have some in the beach house. We were there and we saw some in a cabinet. We were super pissed because at the same time, we want to make sure that we get it. But at the same time, you don't want to have like mouse traps. Like you don't want your guests to stumble across mouse traps, but at the same time. So who knows? We put some out. I'm curious if we ended up getting anything. Yeah, Gary's over here printing, finding 5 Bitcoin, which is what the comment says looked like it would drop silicon carbide chips. Got it. Grab us the Asian X China all-in-one app. Yes, that's what Chris Patel keeps talking about. How it's going to be like WeChat, or what is it? Yeah, WeChat, the comparable of WeChat, but for the rest of Southeast Asia. We lesson instead of streaming Braveheart for the 14th time because you help us. I would not experience my Rocket Lab success this year if not for your podcast earlier this spring and summer. Hey, man, I appreciate you listening in. I appreciate the accolades, but you're the one that hit the buy button, first and foremost. And second, I'm just a messenger, man. You can't really give me a lot of the credit. All the credit is due to the company and the folks at the company that are doing all the hard work. But I'm glad I was able to bring it to your eyes, and you were able to make the decision to buy. Yeah, we will see about the air thing. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to get into. I don't know how much of market share of what Tesla is doing is AER's business. So I would want to see, is it like 20%, 10%? Because I don't know if I'd want to be involved in a company that's about to get some things dropped. But it could be a huge room for opportunity, right? Maybe it's overdone. Maybe it's oversold. I don't know. I don't know enough. Lithium-ion batteries with a new anode might be happening next year in NVX and AMPX are two things. You have your ion scaling production will improve performance, both in silicon anodes. Interesting. Rigetti, what is this? Rigetti Services or Sciences or something like that? I have heard of it. I just don't know anything about it. So I'm not saying it's bad. I just, I keep my few stocks. And Palantir up 4%, 60 from 80. Do you think we see 80 tomorrow? It's plausible. Might see 80 tonight. Might see 80 overnight. I think it was at like 79.39. So it was 79.90. It was at 79.90 earlier. So yeah, we might see it. Sometimes at midnight on my time, so like 1 a.m. EST, it just starts running. Fall in this country, been here 14 years. This is the only second time I've seen one. No. Hopefully you get it out. I know it's aggravating though. I have the same with but I think that they're like the really big cockroaches. They either find their way through the toilet somehow, or I think there's like a space that I've filled, I think, in my back porch where they were able to somehow squeeze through. But I've been here a year and I found one and I was able to trap it in a cup and put it back outside. Might be the same one that got back in a second time. You never know. But yeah, they disgust me. So I put some roach motels around the house and I haven't seen any. I haven't seen many spiders either. So who knows? Maybe I've lucked out. It shouldn't be at 70, but it is. Everyone said it was expensive at 45. Now retail's not selling at 77. If most aren't selling, then it can do anything. Agreed, man. I think you have people just literally holding on to it. You're in this weird space, right? You're in this company that people recognize is probably going to be $1 trillion company, so they don't want to get rid of it because $79, it's great, but it's not $1 trillion, right? It's 150, 170 billion, but it's not $1 trillion. So you have retail being like, I don't know, maybe it's going to continue to go up. And you have institutions saying, well, we need to buy it because we need to get to a certain amount of share count. And so you have a bunch of people wanting to buy the stock. What happens when you have low supply and high demand? The stock price goes up. Air currently has a lawsuit. Well, yeah, I'm far from a health guru. That's for damn sure. And I do agree. I do think that there's something to be said about U.S. food markets. Yeah, the Mexican Coke is pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. Love noodles. I'm a big fan of noodles. I'm a big fan of bread. Appreciate the thoughts on, even if it's not my thing. Perfectly reasonable. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not educated on everything. I wish I could be. I wish I could help. Generally, we can live your life by more than synthetic a thing, the more acidic a thing. Seek all things in the most organic form. Yes and no. But yes, sometimes organic things are way better than synthetic for sure. You're in cocoa. I got to look at this cocoa, man. Cocoa. The Vita Cocoa. $2 billion market cap, 36 PE, but that could be, you never know. Could be low. Is Coco's restaurant still around? I don't know anything about Coco's. Fasting is great. I agree. I need to do a little bit more better about it. You got the dinero, just cook steak all the time or get your keto going. That's what I did do, man. When I was an intern and I moved down here in Houston, and I was basically just buying. What was I doing? Maybe that's what I'll do for a quick snack before I go to bed because I am hungry as fuck. I was doing. Why am I drawing a blank? Cottage cheese, some pineapple or some watermelon, some cinnamon. Because cottage cheese is healthier than doing pudding or something like that, or trying to eat something with carbs, snack or something with carbs. Fruits, they're more simple carbs rather than more complex ones. So it's, yes, they're carbs, but it is what it is. And then I would do scallops, which I love scallops. I love shrimp. I love steak. So yeah, that was all I was eating during my internship, and the weight just flew off. And actually, I was doing pretty good when I came back from Trinidad as well. And all I was generally doing is I was either doing steak, chicken wings, actually, which is obviously higher in fat, but also some decent protein. And then I was also just doing burger patties. So I was trying to do like 90-10, and I would still have cheese with it, but I wouldn't have the buns. And so I would eat, one or two of those, and that was pretty good. And I would do some spinach with just decent amount of pepper, salt, some crushed red pepper as well, and maybe some ranch. And yeah, once again, weight just kind of fell off. But when I started working again in 2020, not working, but going into the office again in 2021, it was hard to juggle because it was like, all right, lunchtime, or like, let me take an hour break. I'd hit the gym downstairs on the 8th floor. And then on the 8th floor as well, there was the grill. I'd go upstairs, get the meat out of the fridge, let it warm up, take my shower, grab the meat, and then go back downstairs, grill it up, eat lunch, then get back to work. And I don't know, for some reason, I haven't established that sort of. It would probably be welcome. Like, I'm sure if I were to do something similar at the office, people would probably be okay with me taking, hitting the gym. We have a gym at the office, but for some reason, I just haven't been able to get into that routine. And yeah, but I have been doing at the office. I do sometimes just do the quick burgers with no buns, and it's quick, easy meal. Tastes good enough for me. Let's see. Doubt you looked into this one. PIGR, worth when you get some downtime. The Up FinTech holding. Online brokerage firm that focuses on global investors. Up 44% to date. It is down 22% all time since March of 2019. Could be wrong, but I don't know. Maybe past 5 years, it's up 74%. Obviously, big spike up in 2021. Says they're making money. $1 billion company. So I'd have to see, how quickly they're kind of growing, but based out of Singapore. Interesting. I'd have to dive a little bit deeper on that one. Yeah, all I know about sound is like AI generated music and stuff of the like. I don't know. Doesn't really seem like it's an avenue that I'd want to be in. Yeah, my buddy said he's doing well. I'll have to get his thoughts. He's more into the computer things than I am. So these streams get you through the night shift. I appreciate that, man. Do I like Qubit? I don't know anything about Qubit. Hopefully you do well with it. Appreciate it. I feel like I've seen you before, a newbie subscriber, apparently, though. Maybe I'm thinking and confusing with somebody else. Huh. What's your process of developing a thesis on a new stock you're researching? Interest, do I think it has a decent moat? Doesn't have to have a perfect moat, obviously, but it would be nice. I like founder-led companies. But really, it's just like consistency. It's not to say that one thing leads over another, right? Like there's no one size fits all. Like Amazon, it's not founder led anymore. It's established. It's growing at a pretty decent pace. But for that one, I can see the trajectory, right? I can kind of visualize where I think it's going. A couple $1 trillion in e-commerce revenue a year. AWS being a couple $100 billion in revenue a year. Just the leader in the space. Google Cloud Platform doing well, Google Search doing well, YouTube doing well. So it's like, what's not to love there? And generally speaking, it goes through peaks and troughs of being undervalued and moderately valued, but it's never as expensive as the rest of the Magnificent Seven. So I feel like it's always a good company to swing. But I've also been holding those since 2022, and I bought at a pretty decent price. So yeah, the SARS, man. Those are basically the performance, the share performance things that he's talking about for Palantir. I've looked at my returns for Google over the past 4 to 5 years. It's lagging. Don't know how to do Twitch, but we'll look into it. Don't feel necessary if you aren't on Twitch. I appreciate you with the sentiment, but YouTube is fine enough as long as you get to get some value. In terms of Google, I bought a little bit of Google before the pandemic, and then I doubled down in 2022. Like I said, it always goes to these peaks and troughs. So let's take a quick look. So I bought, I don't know exactly when, but I bought sometime in 2019, 2020. And then I bought a crap ton in this time period. So like 100 down to the 85 range. In fact, let me just read some cost basis here. Purchase history. I've been a shareholder since 2018. Those are 50 to 60 bucks a share. Wasn't a lot. It was about 100 shares back then. So I guess I bought 5 shares. I bought more in 2020. Those are up $200 a share. I was buying a little bit throughout 2021. Those aren't doing so well. Those are like at 123 bucks a share. So not like barn burner prices. And I was buying slowly throughout 2021. A share here, share there. So like fractional shares. And then I did a decent purchase of shares in October 2022 for 92 bucks. And then I bought a little bit more in November, December for 2022 for 83.90. I bought more in December for 90 bucks. I bought more in February 2023 for 94. And that was my biggest buy. And I haven't bought since February 2023. The rest has been through dividends. And I'm getting about almost half a share a quarter in dividends, which I'm happy about. Because if I can get a couple shares a year, that'd be great. Because I anticipate here, wouldn't be surprised if we do another split here pretty soon. Good company. Amazon, I haven't been as lucky. I'm only up. How much am I up on my Google? About 76%. So not a lot. My Amazon, I'm up 63%. I only bought that in 2020. So I'm up like 85% of my original shares. and like 40, 50% on the majority of my shares. Like I was buying throughout 2021 again, just like a share here, share there. It dipped April 2022. I'm up 80 something percent on those shares. And then it dipped into November 2022. I'm up about 150, 160% on those shares. So buying throughout time, just when I think it's undervalued. It's not like I did a lot of wins or anything like that, or like big chunks. It was around the same time I was starting to get involved in Bitcoin as well. So like, let's look at the original. So I was buying Bitcoin as well, like off, but July 2020, those are up 700%. September 2020, those are up 750%. Overall, up 650%. I wish I bought more. And I have some BTC, which is grayscale. Those were also up about 700%. And then I bought some more recently. What is this? Another 10 grand or so's worth. And those are up about 35%. And IBIT. Oh, these are calls. Yeah, good luck on my IBIT calls, man. That's like 10 grand. That's literally a gamble. We'll see. Worst case, scenario goes to zero. Might exit your sound position tomorrow. But as a trade, got more than interested, up 5% in a short swing trade. Congrats, man. The bar on Palantir seems to be too high a hurdle, going to make earnings day a nail biter. It'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a positive 20%, negative 20%. Who knows what the hell the stock is these days? I think MicroStrategy is a better proxy than, I'm assuming you're meaning miners. I would agree. Or maybe you're talking about Hood. Hood is a shovel play for Bitcoin Gold Rush. I don't disagree, but I'd prefer to, I'd prefer personally to buy MicroStrategy or just buy the Bitcoin itself. I think Cloudflare and Adobe would do well. I haven't looked at them in a while. I may be wrong, but I don't think you own Bitcoin if you buy it on Hood. They own it as a custodian. Yes. Same thing with shares, though. I think a lot of people don't recognize it's like you don't technically own the shares. The Fidelity and stuff owns it as a custodian of you. Maybe that's news to people. Maybe that is news to people. Why are being super bullish on Tesla? Do they not know it's kind of 1,000,000% already? In 15 years since 2008. Lots of growth been built in already. Hot Chris was short in Palantir at 20. Don't tell me about that, dude. All right, we got somebody that's enthusiastic in the chat. Excited. What is App Lovin'? Are you talking about the McDonald's app, or is there something actually called? Oh, there is actually something called App Lovin'. Engages in development and operation of mobile marketing platform and offers App Discovery, Max, and Spark Labs. Holy shit. It is up 872% year to date. What? $134 billion market cap? I got to look into this one. 950% in the past year. 3 months, it's up 350%. So it looks like it was like a $10, $20 billion company at the beginning of the year, and it has now grown. Interesting. Development and operation of mobile app marketing platform. I've heard of Spark Labs. That is a wild one. Congrats to anybody on that one. I got to do some more DD on that. Yeah, add some mobile games and applications. There you go. Competition to companies like Unity. Thanks for the Rocket Lab record. Actually, a big fan of the company now. Hopefully, it works out for you, man. They're a great company. Is this the Dave G? Have some $75 Palantir covered calls expiring Friday. Let's see what we can get up to. Now, granted, we're up 4% overnight, so this isn't going to be perfect, but you have December 13th. What are they? December 13th, 75, you said? So those are worth 335. I'm sure there's going to be something coming out in here. You could easily roll. It looks like the 79 for December. Looks like you could easily roll out to the 80 January 3rd. Almost get you to the 85 January 10th. So by January 17th, you should be able to get to the 80 easy. Oh, wow. And it might be, I don't know when earnings are, but yeah, for January 2025, you roll out almost to the 95 just by going a month out. Maybe these are lower volatility, or maybe not lower volatility, but lower. It's interesting. When is earnings? Is earnings early January? Is that why? Let me see. February 3rd, yeah. So I don't know why there's this big spike up for January, mid-January, like literally from January 10th to January 17th. You saw that massive jump in premiums, right? It's a little weird. Put out a trap and decon too. I don't know what decon is. Hood, $90 next year at this time. You heard it here first. Pine straw. Sold your Palantir at 50 a little too early, but I'll take it. Hey, man. Now you can either buy something else, or you never know. Putting your HVAC on circulation mode or running on a fan every 15 will reduce the number of bugs in your house. You guess most of them entered through HVAC. Interesting. How do you recognize an opportunity for what it is? I'm not going to buy companies that aren't innovating. I'm not going to buy companies that don't have a future. It depends, though, right? I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Maybe you just want dividends. I'm not going to tell you what is. I can't tell you what is a good buy for you. I can tell myself what's a good buy for myself because I have confidence in what I want to do. Right. So initially I was starting dividend investing because I thought I needed income. Now I'm not in a place where I need income. So now I focus on sort of growth stocks within reason, right? I'm not hyper growth. I'm just trying to find companies that are doing good things that I believe are going to be necessary for the future. Palantir was one. Rocket Lab was another. So, yeah, I mean, some people might be interested in dividend companies. I'm not saying that's good or worse or better. So you just got to think about what's right for you. You could be close to retirement, right? I mean, you could just want to make and buy treasury bills, and who's to say that that's right or wrong? You just kind of have to recognize what your risk tolerance is, time horizon, objective. I've had this conversation multiple times over the last few days. Are you trying to get capital appreciation? Or are you trying to get cash flow? I don't have a right or wrong answer for you because it's dependent upon what you want. I have a decent income job. I'm working 9 to 5 right now. So that's what I'm using as my income. So for right now, I'm looking for capital appreciation. I'm basically trying to get myself to a point where I have the ability to do some crazy shit. You like build a company, build a construction company, build whatever I feel like I can pivot into in the future. Maybe get involved in venture capitalism, or become a venture capitalist in small businesses. Who's to say, right? But that's where I see it versus I basically was heading down a path in 2019, 2020 of just becoming a huge dividend investor, which was great. But it was like, what am I going to use 30, 40, 50 grand? If I wanted to focus really on dividends, at the time, I could have been making 70, 80 grand. Like right now, if I wanted to switch to dividends only, I'd be making 100, 120 grand. It's like, what am I going to do with all that money right now? Like, it just doesn't make any sense if I'm still working and I can invest it in companies that could go up 100%, 200%. Not saying all of them will, but like Palantir and Rocket Lab, I thought those were better opportunities than trying to capture dividends. And I was right. Same thing with PepsiCo. It's not that I have it's not that I think PepsiCo is a bad company. PepsiCo is a great company and it's continuing to grow and do really good things. It's just for what I was looking at, do I think PepsiCo is going to double in price over the next 5 to 10 years? Or did I think Palantir or Rocket Lab was? And I thought Palantir or Rocket Lab are. So that's where I put the money. I sold and made good money. I think I bought it at $90-something, took it to 160 or 170 bucks. Maybe it was 180. I don't really remember. And loved it the whole time. Still love Pepsi. Great company. Love their snacks. But at the same time, I was just like, you got to be realistic. Same thing with BHP. BHP, great company. One of the best returning companies I had in my portfolio of all time. Over 300-something% return. Yield on cost over 20. 20%. I was literally getting paid 20% my initial investment. But it didn't matter what my initial investment was, right? It already run 300, 400%. So it's like, you're sitting there being like, well, yeah, do I want to, and it was in a Roth, so I didn't have to pay taxes on it or anything. It's like, well, what do I want to do? Well, I put it into Rocket Lab, or maybe I put it into SLG. I forget. I think SLG and BHP I held at the same time. So I feel like I sold my Rocket Lab. Sorry, sold my BHP, put it into Rocket Lab. What did I do with my SLG? I sold SLG, a portion of it. I'm not sharing. Okay, good. I sold half of my SLG. Yeah, half. When did I sell it? It's weird. Oh, okay. I sold the big portion of it August 2024. Then I keep selling every time I get a dividend reinvestment. I keep selling it. So August 2024, and then I used that, I believe, to buy more Rocket Lab. So August 2024, here you go. I used that to buy 2,500 more shares of Rocket Lab. Yep, $11,000. Yep, that's it right there. And so what has happened to SLG at that time frame? It's kind of floundered. Maybe stayed the same price, maybe gone up 5%, 10%, whatever. Guess what those shares of Rocket Lab are worth? I took the conscious decision. I said, SLG is a great company. Do I think it can continue to go up to 80 or 90 bucks? Yes, but I feel like it would take some time to get there. What do I have more confidence in right now? And Rocket Lab was $4.68. And I said, I got a lot of confidence in Rocket Lab right now. I'm up 430% on that. That decision. So, and I sold, let's go back to it. I sold SLG August 2020. I sold it early. I probably sold it too early. $63 a share. Interesting. So I even sold that a little early, but I can't complain. I made 400-something% on the proceeds. Once again, tax-free because it was in a Roth IRA. So I can't tell you, exactly what it is, but do I think that New York real estate is going to be something that quadruples overnight? I'm going to say no. And Rocket Lab quadruple overnight, probably not either. But do I see the TAM expansion, the market expansion of space being bigger than New York real estate? There's a lot of competition. The real estate market in New York is great. Yes, you can find ebbs and flows in the market that out or undervalue certain stocks. That's what SLG was. I bought in at something 20 something bucks. What was it? Those shares. Let's go back to my Roth. Those shares of SLG I bought. Shout out to Chris Patel and Hot Steven Fiorillo. I bought those shares in May. Yeah, May of 2023 for $23 a share. So I realized $40 a share on those. Good move. So I mean, I can't tell you what works for you, but what works for me is I recognize that, hey, I made a lot of money on this. I didn't see it going up another 100, 200%. I wanted to put it in something where I thought within the next 5 to 10 years, it could go up a couple 100%. And so that was the move I made. And that's just an example. So Palantir is 6x to go to 475. I wouldn't be surprised in 10, 15 years if that was the case. Palantir food, what would it be? I don't know. Palantir would be pastrami on rye. Interesting. Crab legs. I'm in Austin. I wouldn't have guessed by ATX. Now I know. Have you taken a look at Honest at all? Great fundamentals for a small cap. It's been moving, man. It's been turning around. I know Jeremy Lefebvre has been looking at it pretty extensively. Frozen blueberries could be good at night. That would be dope in some cottage cheese. Have you learned to smoke ribs properly? Like last year, it sounded like you totally effed it up. They weren't bad. So hopefully I didn't give it that impression. They were still good. I just wanted to perfect the recipe, perfect the timing, perfect everything. All the girls in my family use their products, the Honest Company. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Could be the Panda Express. Palantir wouldn't be food. It would be a toilet paper during COVID. Everyone wants to buy, but nobody's selling it. There you go. Tesla crosses $400 a share. Insane. Still say Airbus is going to print anything between lawsuits and drugs. Airbus. I thought it said Airbus, but Airbus. Artemis Biopharmaceuticals. %, year to date. It was up. It's retraced a little bit over the past few months. But shout out to you, Lisa. Apparently doing a good job. Tesla just crossed 400. Let's take a look at Tesla. Good for my cash secured puts. Yeah, 442. Climbed all the way up to 401.80. So shout out to that. I wonder if Palantir crossed the... Probably did cross the 80 mark. Nope, 79.25. Did we get close, though? 79.50? Yeah. I saw the 79.90 earlier. Out here soldering GPS units for your rocket tonight. Pretty chill. Talking to my parachute vendor about some quality issues. Found out about it scaled down a model of one of the Rocket Lab users. Holy shit. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I need to chat with you about that, man. That you sent me the video. That was pretty badass. Keep me apprised, man. If you ever need any some small funding, don't know what your plans are, but would love to potentially, if you're looking to potentially actually take it somewhere, wouldn't mind. Us billionaires, we tend to get involved. No, I'm just kidding. I was trying to make a joke. I'm nowhere near a billionaire. Consumer goods, transparent labeling, baby products, also goods, great cash in the books, and consistent growth, margins increasing. Doing well with the new CEO. That's what Jeremy, he did a good job describing it on his channel. It might still have a lot of legs, man. It was way higher, right? And then it retraced a good bit. Yeah. So that's the problem. I don't know anything about the dilution of it. Like I said, this is me just kind of looking at it with a blind eye, but came down quite a bit, 61%, but over the past year, up pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. That and Elf. Yeah, that and Elf. 8-pound payload. Rocket Lab's 80,000-pound payload. Early investors can make, you can make a crap ton of money. I haven't looked into either of those companies. I have not. Is Next still on schedule, Matt? They will have an update on the court decision tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. But I still think it's on schedule. They're still constructing. They put out a investor presentation not too long ago, and they are still constructing. So they state to be on track for end of 2027, first gas for the first train, then 6 months to a year after. So hopefully by early 2029, all three trains will be online, and then they have yet to sanction. They're close to sanctioning, but yet to sanction train 4. So yes, curious to see what happens. It could be another Biden stab to the gut or something before he leaves office. Let's see. I've been looking at this one, actually, and they just won a contract with the Army. Kind of, I don't want to say similar to Palantir, but yeah, they're going after similar clients, right? So, Michael Anthony, I often don't like the companies that you ask me to look at. So, but I invest in a lot of retail companies. Bros is one. Dutch Bros is pretty retail. Hot Tevis, the myth, the legend. Nah, good luck with sound, man. I hope everyone does well with it. Yes, Tevis thinks he knows all the answers. Like I shouldn't buy Rocket Lab and everything else. There you go. I have to tell Tez happy birthday. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, Tevis, give us all the answers. Cannabis and biotech have been left for dead. You're accumulating. I have been talking with somebody about picking up some biotech. We will see. Although I do have some ABCL, and I'm buying like what, $50 a month of that. So nothing big though. Yeah, robotics will be big. Sound with adjusted cost base of $255. Cover calls got called away at $7. Hey man, you made money. That's all that matters. TIGR is like the hood of Asia markets. 100% year-over-year funded account growth just passed a share offering. You can see the app on Google Play, etc. Hopefully it continues to do well. Up FinTech. 44% up year to date. Sold to really make mistakes this month were Hims, SoundHound, and Serve. What's Serve again? Serve Robotics. 148%. This is the thing, man. Like, there's a lot of companies that, I mean, Rocket Lab included in this statement, a lot of companies that aren't making any damn money that for some reason, because of the market conditions are running. So just be cautious. Not saying it's going to go, not saying all these companies are going to zero, but it's like, make sure that these companies actually have a good moat, you know? Otherwise you might be caught left for dead. Hey, Matt, you hope you're doing well. Appreciate your Rocket Lab Bull posting. I wanted to ask what your thoughts on GSAT. Aren't these guys about to go bankrupt? No, that's not. I'm thinking of Myanmar. These guys, they just got a bunch of funding from Apple. I think they'll be okay. I think this is who Apple is going to be using as their premier satellite creator, not creator, builder. I'm just kind of curious if they're going to continue to subcontract out to Rocket Lab. That's my real question. Because I think a lot of people don't realize this, but when Globalstar did the initial deal with Apple, they're probably like, oh, Globalstar is the company. Well, who's the one that ended up making the buses and everything for the Globalstar satellites that are going up into space and currently being delivered? Rocket Lab. So Globalstar subcontract out to MDA contract, which is a Canadian company. MDA subcontracted out to Rocket Lab to make the satellite buses. So it goes back to people always just like, what do you think about this company? What do you think about this? It's like Rocket Lab ends up having way more of an influence on a lot of the space satellites that go up there than you think. It's pretty funny. Hey, thanks for becoming a member, Sergi Lunch. Much appreciated. Sorry, I'm 27 minutes late to seeing it. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. June finally gave me the love that I deserve. No, I'm just kidding. Boston Scientific. Interesting. Don't see the math on MSTR that is to own Bitcoin as an asset should trade at asset value. But the problem is with respect to this, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think that the reason why it's trading at above net asset value is because people are anticipating the future value of Bitcoin. And because generally speaking, people will pay you on a bond, what they're basically doing is they're giving MicroStrategies cash, and then they're going to be able to buy more Bitcoin with it, to which that Bitcoin will probably go up in price 50, 60, 100%. And so they're basically trying to understand, one, they might be what's the word I'm looking for? They might be an insurance company, right? So that insurance company can issue bonds, but it can't issue, let's say, buy stock or something of the like, right? So it might be an insurance company that can issue bonds and collect collateral on that bond. But what they can do is do convertible debt offerings and stuff of the like. And so it allows them to use their float to do something like that. So now they're getting access to Bitcoin versus before they might have only been able to use the US dollar, if that makes sense. So not saying it's a perfect strategy, but basically then Michael Saylor just turns around, uses whatever US dollars they give them, and turns around and buys more Bitcoin. So Hood is a pick shovel for Bitcoin only for retail. MSTR is playing with the big boys like BlackRock, etc. I would agree with that statement. Tesla's here. Let's go. What's going on, my guy? What is going on, my guy? You need to get some Bitcoin. Hey, man, I wouldn't, don't do anything crazy. But even 1%, think about this, even 1% of your annual salary will be good. And if you feel like it's cheap, it pulls back significantly, 10%, 20%, or whatever, add a little bit more, take some money out of the coffers. Hey, Matt, hope it's all well. We're buying Dutch Bros in SLG at the moment. Dutch Bros has been on a massive tear. We don't talk about that one as much on the channel because Palantir and Rocket Lab have been overshadowing, but I've been fortunate in this one as well. Yeah, I've had it since like 2023. I'll check what I'm up at the moment, but we're up about 99% on this one as well. But after the Q3 earnings, it's absolutely rocketed. So this one's done well as well. 5-year since the IPO. It had a really good IPO during 2021, obviously, like most companies did, but then it drowned out. I don't know. I think this on a valuation perspective, I think this one's fairly-ish valued for the growth that it should see, but it's still slightly ahead of where it should be. So if it pulls back, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. SLG, I think SLG, the easy money's been made. I guess it all just really depends on what you're looking to do, right? I mean, I either swing trade or I try to make investments for the next 5 to 10 years. So, I mean, Burroughs is a little fully valued for what it is at the moment. Big catalyst may be that they do more food in the future, so I'm kind of keeping an eye on that. But so, I mean, I wouldn't be like running to start a position in Dutch Bros, and I wouldn't be running to start a position in SLG either. Thanks to your interview, got to know PTIR, and it's been very sweet. PTIR, for those that are, I think it's Granite shares 2x long, and so that's given some people some healthy returns. Do I want to check out P10? Not really. Patterson UTI Energy. Drilling and pressure pumping services, directional drilling. No, not right now. Good luck to you. I still think we have another leg to drop on oil and gas. I'll pick it up for about 50% what it is right now. Still think that there's a lot left to move in oil and gas downwards. I wish June would say hi to me. Just kidding, June. But of course, Palantir is your main holding. Let's see. I saw Pepsi for SoFi. Is that true? Let's check. Sorry, it's getting a little late. So my contacts are getting dry. Close positions. I did sell Pepsi this year. I don't know why I thought I sold it. So February 2023, 2024. Tavis remembers because he was the one that convinced me. So that sounds about right. Or maybe I just sold. Hold on, let's see. Maybe I was just sitting on cash. Let's see. February 2023. Okay, so I did sell Pepsi for SoFi. That's what it was. So let's talk about that. That's a good point, right? So going back to, and this is, I think, the same exact conversation I had with Tevis back under. This is how badass this conversation was. Are you ready? We were sitting, and he's gonna get angry that I say this, but my guy can't go on vacation. He gets angry that I let him know he goes on vacation. So I've been buying Pepsi. Let's see, since 2018 timeframe at $98 a share, and I've been buying, letting dividends accrue, everything like that. Bought more at $98 a share. At what was it? Yeah, May 2018, and then just dividends throughout 2024, just getting reinvesting in dividends, etc. I saw for $170, February 2023, right? Obviously, Pepsi is not $170 today. It's in the 150s, if I believe. I took that and I said, what do I think is actually going to do way better, 2 to 3x in the next couple of years? And that position happened to be SoFi. So it goes to show you, I said, let me take an asset that I think will underperform over the next several years for an asset that will perform over the next. What do you think those shares of SoFi are today? And granted, yes, I know that everyone's a genius in a bull market, right? But keep in mind, Pepsi underperforming over the past, say, 10 months since I sold it versus SoFi. SoFi is up 96%. That was another 96% move because I sold something that I thought was going to underperform. Even if Pepsi had doubled, you would still be behind SoFi, Palantir, or Rocket. There it is. Couch investor sold all of his Palantir shares. Bold move. Vale. Let's see. Is Vale down enough yet? Vale is one of those ones where it's a premier Brazilian mining company. Let's see. Is it down enough yet? It's down 36% in the past year, 40% year to date. It's making about $10 billion a year. I'm not as familiar with minerals and metals. But I guess I would just look at if iron, what I'm now looking at is iron. As cheap as it's ever been. To warrant buying Vale. Iron's at $100 a metric ton. I don't have an answer. What did this look like in September? What did Vale look like in September? It probably looked a lot better. No, it's coming down now. I guess it all just depends if you think there's a shortage, right? I mean, do you think there's a shortage of iron? So if you think it's going to turn around, then why am I not covering Victoria's Secret? Because I can't cover everything, man. Streaming so long, your AirPods died. My bad, my guy. It's been 3 hours. Jesus, I do need to, and it's 11:30. I do have to be at the office early, and I'm also meeting Roy for lunch tomorrow. Yeah, man, more subs than Hot Tevis. I thought this dude was ignoring, but he's literally 45 minutes late on the chat. I am 45 minutes late on the chat. You're not wrong. I think now's the time to buy midstream oil companies. I do not. Midstream, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a midstream kind of guy, but I do think that there will be a continued fall in oil prices in the short term. If you own 0.3 Bitcoin, you are in the top 1% of the world. Well, then Maddie's doing okay. With a freak, I agree with that 1 to 2% of net worth going into the coin. Do you have info about Grab? Not a fan of Grab at the current prices. I wish everyone the best in it. You know, I know a lot of people put a lot more due diligence into it than I do, but I just feel like that there's going to be a pullback, and I'm okay if I don't own it. You know, I have other things that I'd rather own than Grab. So, do you think the Bitcoin transfer fee will always be expensive? What's expensive? The average fee is like $1 to $2, and you have to think that is people that are transferring millions of dollars potentially. So that's the average. Matt, you missed me saying hello to you. Always appreciate you doing live. I know, I'm just giving you crap. Love you, Junebug. I know, I just didn't remember. Like, I'm glad you remember, because I was several adult beverages deep, and potentially in a euphoric state off of fine Cuban cigars. So I'm glad you remember. Bro, Straight up though, those fish tacos. All right, so I don't remember how many days we were there. And Tevis, you're gonna kill me for saying this, but we would just pay this guy. I don't know. I was just feeding this guy money, $20, right? I was just feeding this guy $20. He'd come over, bring me some drinks, I'd give him some more money. It would be like 11 o'clock. As soon as this little lunch spot, we would literally, it was like a 10, 15 step walk away. It's nice little like seated arrangement. They had like little seated crowd. We would just, me and Tevis would go out. We'd be like, we need as many fish tacos as possible. We need some ceviche. And these guys delivered. Like, if you guys are into fish tacos and ceviche and you're looking for a decent spot with a decent pool, hang out, that's your kind of environment. Probably not the best beach. The beach wasn't bad, but I would say the pool environment was better, and that's what I kind of prefer. I like the pool environment. But if you do, let me know. But every day for like 3 or 4 days, it was like the same thing, and I loved it. I was living the dream. And doing that made me 18 grand, Tevis. That trip made me 18 grand. I don't know how much it costs. It wasn't that expensive of a trip. So net positive, like 15 grand. So, and I guess if you consider me buying more SoFi later on, which I'm up more on, even 110% versus the 96%, because I bought more in October, because I listen to my friends, you know, when they suggest great companies at great prices, you know. I'd made another $15,000. So overall, probably a $30,000 decision just by going to Mexico at that time. Yes, more transactions, less they cost. Bitcoin has expanded at price, but not scale in digital cash, so transactions are still relatively low. I agree. I do think that. Tesla is over 400, man. AMD, everyone's talking about AMD. I'm with Amit, man. He had a really good presentation, or not presentation, but he stated it earlier. I'm kind of sitting here scratching my head. I'm not saying that, was it Lisa Su? Is that right? I'm going to mess up her name, and everyone's going to crucify me. I hope I didn't crucify her. She's really smart and does really good. Yeah, Lisa Su. She does a great job. I'm not saying she doesn't, but just because NVIDIA is getting the accolades doesn't mean that, in my opinion, AMD should. So I don't know. Are they going to, like, I saw Jeremy Lefebvre is also getting involved in AMD now as well, and he generally is right. He does a good job with most of the stocks. Although people give him crap for the FTX thing, and I just don't, you know, we all make mistakes, but I don't know. Will AMD, I think if you're looking at it like a cyclical position, it could be a good cycle play because it's kind of beaten down right now, and there's no real reason for it to be like super beaten down. So, I mean, if you look at where it's at compared to the rest of the market, you know, peaked out here at over $200 a share, and this was earlier this year, and it's really just kind of in this. And I'm not a technicals guy, you know? I'm not a technicals guy. Let's be real. But you can kind of see this like downward trending flag, right? And eventually it's going to squeeze to a point where it's either got to go up or down pretty expansively to get out of that flag, downward ascending flag. I don't even know what the hell it's called, you know? But you can kind of see the flat line here at, what is this, the 135-ish resistance. It's kind of come here a couple times now. And you have this descending flag piece kind of coming down. So at some point, you're going to have to make a move upward or downward. I don't know. I'm not a technicals guy. You know? New vacation needed soon, man. New vacation needed soon. I want to go to Mexico with you're just there for the money. You're not there for the fish tacos. I was there for the fish tacos, you know? No, I'm just kidding. Trump tariffs might call an issue with steel and iron. There you go. Good point. Really good point. So there might be some headwinds on Vail before. I also didn't like the fact that it's Brazilian. They might have worse. I don't know. This is really speculative, and so don't take this to heart, and I don't mean any disrespect. But they might have less regulatory sort of concerns and practices, being Vale, being a Brazilian company. But that might have been something that's kind of historic. I think that they've come a long way over the past 15 years. New vacation soon, man. I need to. That is one thing when I'm off. I need to find out where the passport office is near my hometown, because that would be dope to get that renewed. Casey's General Stores, those aren't bad. Tevis was teaching me Spanish. It was a good time. We're in Mexico. It's Riviera Maya. Dope spot. I forget what exactly the resort is, but damn, I just seen this. I'll rewind and start listening. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, I was just talking to my buddy's Fool's Gold, and Tevis, you and I were trying to do this. When was this? Whenever we last went out vacation, I needed to. We were planning on having like a brain mapping of where I need to get to, right? And it might be. We talked a little bit about you, and I think you're kind of leading on to that, and you're doing good with it. But I need to figure out where my next steps are. Time to buy AMSTR calls. I'm selling puts. I might buy, if I could find a decent, what's the word I'm looking for? Spread, maybe. But it's just expensive. It's expensive. Yeah, Jeremy's a big fan. I appreciate you subscribing. Would love to see you around more. I'm not 100% certain on AMD, but I think that there's definitely some movement that's got to be made up or down. And to be very fair, they're a great company, and they know what they're doing. I'm surprised that it's lagging behind most of the market. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a quick rip, but for me, I go back to the 5-10 year thing. Like, would I buy it for 10 years, or maybe it's one of those things where I take a calculated gamble and I say, you know what, I'm willing to lose $5,000, and I know within, say, the next 6 months, it's going to move one way or the other. So, for example, you could buy the 135 calls for $20, so $2,000. Where would it go? Would it go to $200? I don't know. It just seems you need a break even of 156 over the next 6 months. I don't know. They did just start online passport renewals, and that might be something, but I don't want to, how do I say this? If you do it in person, they can literally do it in person. And so you're not without a passport, instead of being without one for 6 to 8 weeks. And I would rather potentially waste 2 hours, have it in person. So in case I wanted to do an impromptu trip with my boy Teddy, and now June. And I also have to go to London every once in a while. And I've been meaning to do it since I got back from London in September. But yes, they do the online thing. And at this point, I would have already had it, and I wouldn't have had to go international either. But I've just been dragging my feet. And I need a passport picture. So regardless, you're going to have to go somewhere. You either have to take a passport picture at home, if you know how to do that, which I honestly could potentially. We'll see. Have I done a Scotland, Ireland trip? Not as of yet. Oh, Tavis, let's go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. No, I'm just kidding. Watch an episode of The Dune Show. Dude. If I didn't have work tomorrow, I'd probably do that. Anyway, they'll take one for me at Walgreens. There you go. The only good thing that Walgreens does these days. Somebody messages, Thoughts on Uber sentiment? Do you really think fully self-driving disrupts this? Yeah, I saw some stuff. Good one, my guy. You really hit it on the head there. The I was gonna say, I've seen some stuff about like Uber doing some stuff with respect to full, like some sort of something. I'm not versed in it. I don't know. I would need to check it out again. Yeah, I would need to check it out again. But anyway, guys, it's 1:51. I'm gonna run downstairs really quick, fill up my water, and hit the sack. I have meetings starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I do need to get off. But I appreciate you guys. I wasn't expecting to go 3 hours. Just wanted to check in, see how you guys were doing. So you guys rock. Let me know if there's any other companies. Sorry, I don't know everything about every company. I try my best, but I'm just not well in tune with everything, you know. So I think we'll see a little bit of a pullback in oil, personally. So we will see. Let's round out Palantir $79, not 7,900, $79 flat almost in the overnight. Let's see if it goes across 80 in the morning. SPY is flat going into 24 hours now. Bitcoin 99.5. Let's check the Qs. Investment is flat. Let's check the Russell. Is this 24 hours? It is. It's up 0.1%. And let's check. And then 20-year. Let's just check bonds. 10-year Treasury is down overnight as well. Hey, thank you for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated. Much appreciated on that. More wars broke out over the Asian markets. Jesus. Bullish on AMD, 306 odd shares. Hopefully you do well with that, my man. I'm confident it'll do well. You always have to do a cost benefit analysis. Just because it will do well doesn't mean it'll outperform something else. And so I'm always kind of comparing, do I rather own this rather than Rocket Lab or this, that, or the other? So we will see. Yeah, I'm sure it'll cross 80 as well. What is wrong with ABCL? I think they're just trying to get their footing with revenues, guys. Have a good one. Much appreciated. Junebug, thank you. Everybody, thank you. My friends on Twitch, thank you. Kev Dog, you're the man. Zocold, you're the man. Michael Anthony, appreciate you. Doug, what's going on? Soldier Palantir, that's fine, man. As long as you made money and you got some stuff. You have almost 20K in Rocket Lab. Hopefully that does well for you. Yeah, Jeremy did a really good job on AMD breakdown yesterday. So if you believe how well those metrics turn out, then AMD would show up really well. And I could see a place where it could work out. So if you guys are interested, check out Jeremy's video. I think it was really well done. So you guys rock. I do have to hit the hay and make sure I get to the office early. So you guys rock. I'll talk to you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.